Good evening, everybody. I've got Kaylee here, and we have a special guest, Lori Oliver. Thank you so much for being
My
here.
pleasure.
Yes, nice to see you
And
again, Lori.
It's nice
also,
to see you ladies carrying on this endeavor. It's been a long time, and
Yeah.
it's nice to see people still interested in hoping for justice and
Oh, yeah. I
um,
agree. Thank you.
picking up and going where our hearts wanted to take it a long time ago, and life hit some of us and had to detour some of us, and I'm one of those. But I still want justice with all
Mm.
my heart.
yes, we all do. We have to celebrate real quick. We've got a new Whisper in a House, new member. Thank you, Yah World,
Woohoo!
for being a new member.
Thank you.
What a way to start off the show. Thank you so much. We appreciate you, Yah, for being here always, girlfriend. Hmm.
All
Yeah,
right.
okay.
So, yes, I totally agree. We got a comment earlier. TGIF, happy Friday. It is Friday. Thanks, everybody, for joining us this Friday. And Lori, a special guest of ours, last minute special guest of ours. We really appreciate you being here. We have spoken with Lori before on our channel, I guess probably 6 months ago, I would guess.
It's been a little while.
Yeah,
I remember it was a good night. It was good to share the information. Um, I was hoping to be able to reach out and get in contact with the gentleman that I had met that had lived with and dated Terri for a while and been a victim of Terri's.
mhm,
Um,
right.
he does pop into my world from time to time to check on me, but unfortunately, he has apparently hasn't seen my message yet.
Right.
So
Yeah. And life is busy. And I mean, honestly, it's been 6 months, but it feels like the blink of an eye. Um, and we're grateful to have you join us on this show tonight because you sparked this show all those months back. It's kind of been one of those things that's just been mulling in the back of our heads from some information that you had told us.
I was
Um,
excited to hear that you guys moved forward on it and that you were able
yeah.
to get some information on it.
I mean, it's pretty interesting. And, you know, I'm going to be completely honest with the people here with us tonight. I was actually feeling like, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I hope I find all this crap on Terry's family and all that, I hope that she has creeper uncles and all this stuff. But really, I mean, at least on the side that I looked into, which is her dad's side, I didn't deep dive her mom's side. Um, it really, I didn't find anything. I found actually, just like the title implies, um, quite quite the honorable bunch. And here we are, if you Google Terry's name, there's nothing good about it. So truly from honor to shame legacy here. And yeah, so it's going to be interesting. And I wonder, I mean, this was right up my alley. It's actually my first live that I'm kind of behind the scenes, behind the wheel with Samantha kind of helping along the way. So I apologize in advance if there's any technical difficulties.
It's going to be a normal live, just like it always is. Let's welcome, though. All the mods are here. Thank you guys for being here. Bigfoot Barbecue. Connie, I see you. Thank you for joining. We have so many people already here. Yaya, Bigfoot, AV, Halo, Connie, oh my goodness, just so many people. Thank you guys for coming over and being here tonight. Yeah, I'm super excited to see all the information that you got and learn some new information. And yeah, to
I'm
hear,
hoping something you share triggers something else that I heard or knew. So
yeah, so
Yeah,
this
right.
is
Exactly.
exciting.
these
Hmm.
conversations trigger a lot of memories and stuff like that. Which, unfortunately for myself, I want to tell people up front. I had a medical issue that occurred in my life that has fogged my memory some. sometimes I have to be reminded of something that happened and stuff like that. I don't have that ironclad memory I once had where, gosh, I could remember every detail. So
Right.
talking about it, sharing it, and stuff like that might bring up something that,
Right.
I failed to share the last time,
That's
or
true.
hopefully I just get to learn from you guys.
Either way, we're super glad to have you here. Um, so yeah, starting right off here, we are going to throw it back to Terri's ancestors. Um, let's see, how do I get this on here?
I put it up for you. You want
Okay,
the GTA and ancestors up?
I'll have it in the exact order that it's shown. So, yep, that one first, please.
Okay, I'm gonna add it. When I add it, it's gonna go straight up on stage. So you're gonna want to hit the pause button.
Okay,
Just letting you
perfect.
know.
Alrighty, so these are Terri's grandparents here, and these are actually comments I put here on the screen that Terri left for them. Um, in January, she wrote to her grandfather, "I miss you, your granddaughter Terri." And then to her grandmother here, she wrote, "Your favorite color red, I miss you, your granddaughter Terri." And those were found on a website that's kind of dedicated to memorials for people. So when I saw that, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how I feel one way or the other, but I just wanted to include those comments as well. But as we get started here, I really want to throw it back to way before her grandma and grandpa were born, to the generation before them, and even a couple generations before. Terri's ancestors actually were early settlers of this county where they lived, which is, I apologize if I pronounce this incorrectly, but I think it's Tehama County, California. And
Tehama.
what is that, Lori?
It's Tehama County.
Okay, thank you.
And can I ask you a question real quick, Kelia? Is this Terri's biological ancestors, or would this be the
No,
ancestors of the adopted parents?
these are the adopted parents
Okay.
because, as far as I know, I mean, if Terri knows who her biological family is, I could not find any information about who they really were.
Okay.
We'll talk about that a little bit later because I do have some stuff about that. But yeah, this is all mostly, actually, this is all Terri's dad's side.
Okay.
So her adopted dad's side, Larry Moulton. So yeah, they were early settlers of this area, and they actually settled in the area. And as you can see, they were part of huge mining operations. They were so prominent in the area that there's several roads named after a lot of the family members. If you go and Google Moulton, you can find these pictures in the Chico Museum or Chico State University Museum online collection because people have submitted them as historical value. So that's where I found a lot of these. A lot of these include captions. You know, when I was researching them, they included captions of what was actually written on the back. And these pictures, from what I can ascertain, actually came from Hobart Moulton, which is Terri's great grandpa. So he was the one writing on the back of these saying what these were. And one of these men were her great great grandpa. I don't know exactly which one, but one of them were. And they had hundreds, if not thousands, of acres of property at that time. They homesteaded. This is their family. This is Moulton family members building a huge flume so they could bring water to the town. They had no water, and thanks to the Moulton family, that town was able to get water. That's not the only thing that they did for their area, actually. So yeah, when I was, like I said, when I was
It's very
diving in,
amazing.
it is. I mean, look how big this is. This is huge. And you can go read a lot about this. And I love this kind of stuff. So, like I said, this is right up my alley.
This is
Um,
something I could go visit.
mhm. This is another picture of the flume, and you can see a person and their dog standing on the ground. And that was built by family members of Terri on her dad's side. Um, let's see. Let's keep going here. some more pictures of the flume. You can actually see water running right there off the end of it as they continue to build it. And this would have been late 1800s, early 1900s.
That's
Each
so cool.
each pictures of that I'm showing you, except for this one, I don't know for certain. I don't think this is a member of Terri's family, but this is logs that came from their land. Look how huge it is. It's absolutely, absolutely crazy.
Were they into logging?
Yes, they had lumber facilities. And in fact, I think the next picture, oh, here's a picture of the actual home that Terri's grandpa, Hobart, grew up in. So this was part of their original homestead of that land. They also had a schoolhouse in the area. And from what I can read, again, the Moultons are credited as being the reason that there's a schoolhouse. Either it was on their property or they took the initiative to have it put into the town. I don't quite know. I didn't go super, super deep on this, but this is, again, from Hobart Moulton talking about the schoolhouse or whatever. That's what it was written on the back. I wish I would have taken a screenshot of that. But now, this is very interesting. This is actually her grandpa and grandma standing right there. And it's written, 1983 in the corner. This had a lot of good information about how important the Moultons is, not only her great-great-grandparents and her ancestors, but these people right here, her actual grandpa and grandma, who probably spent a lot of time with Terri. She wrote that she missed them. Obviously, they had a relationship. So I was going to read this. If you want to play the reading 40 years one, I'll read this. And we'll just watch the thingy roll. Just a second. Yeah, so we're just going to have a slideshow. All right, so married pair carry the mail for 40 years. Mail call in Mantor signals the arrival of two of the most familiar faces in rural eastern Tehama. Sorry, how do you say it again? Tehama County. Ruth and Hobart Moulton have been a welcome sight along the mail route from their hometown, Paynes Creek, to Mountain for 40 years. To them, delivering the mail has been one long adventure since that April morning in 1943 when they piled in their first mail sacks in a 1929 Model A Ford and headed down Lanes Valley Road. And we haven't missed a single day since, said Miss Moulton. The couple's 60-mile route connects the small mountain communities where people still run out to meet the mail truck, even if all they ever get are bills. The Moultons stuff about 100 mailboxes along Lanes Valley Road to Mountain Road, making side trips to ranches in the area, then hopping back on the main road to Paynes Creek. They begin at 9:30 a.m. and return to the post office at 1:30 p.m. Monday through Saturday. The Moultons' popularity could be because of their genuine concern for the people of their route. They've kept up with generations of births, deaths, illnesses, and other happenings in the lives of those they serve. They hand deliver mail to their community. They even have, let's see here. Oh, that part got cut off, darn it. Moulton, the great-great-grandson of the Tehama County pioneer, William B. Ide, was born in Lane Valley and grew up in Paynes Creek. The wife is a daughter of a mail carrier who used to make deliveries by horse and buggy. The couple has one son who is now the dean of students at Roseberry Junior High in Oregon. And they're talking about Larry, Terri's dad. So it continues all about their career for paragraphs and paragraphs and how people would basically count on them. They even said they called their mail route Molten Time, and they joked about people leaving a clock on the mailbox asking the Moltens to put the time on it because they wanted to go by Molten Time. It's just so interesting to
That's
me.
so cool.
Yes, because right, it is cool. They are very well respected, and when I was Googling her family, I had no problem finding all these honorable, great things, right? And that's why I kept digging, and actually, the next slide here, if you want to play it, Terri's grandpa Hobart, he actually wrote a book, and that's the next one, Hobart Larry. He wrote a book here called "We Are Not Forgotten: A Narrative History of Eastern Tehama County, Hobart Molten." And actually, you can still buy this book to this day, and the profits go towards the Tehama County sorry, it's tiny. I can barely read it. Genealogical or History Society. It's harder to read when you're sharing it on this screen. It is smaller than normal. Okay, so now we're going to kind of start diving into some more interesting tidbits I found about Terri's family and never heard about. This is a page in the book that actually talks about Larry. It has some mentions. I'm not going to bother really reading it, but they talk about Larry in the book. I don't know if they talk about Terri in the book. I didn't buy the book myself to read, but it's out there.
Where did you find the book at, in case anybody wants to look at it or buy it? Was it on Amazon?
There is a fake listing on Amazon. Actually, if you want to buy it, you should go on Facebook to the Tehama County History Society page, Historical Society page, and just message them, and they will send you like a invoice to buy it. I did message them and talk to them. They were the ones who sent me the actual page in the book. They were really helpful. Now, this is fascinating. This is where Lori came in, okay? This is a huge it's actually 3 miles, it looks massive. It's 3 miles long. And this yellow road there is Molten Loop. So this is one huge area, I know for sure that Terri's family, her grandparents owned land over here. It runs right next to this Highway 36. And Terri's family actually deeded lots and lots of acres to California State so they could build Highway 36 on their property or through their property. So at one point, that Highway 36 also was part of Hobart Molten's property. He had acres and acres. I don't know exactly how much because it has been divided since then. And, it's been decades. But this 3 mile road is called Molten Loop, just north of Paynes Creek, where this all takes place. And Lori is the one who mentioned that Terri brought her boyfriend, the one that
Joseph.
Yeah, that has a friendship with Lori. He told her that Terri took him here, or at least somewhere that what she referred to Joseph as her grandpa's property. And that stood out to me because what was she doing showing it off to Joseph, And
she told him it was large, very large.
Well, I don't doubt it.
Impressed with the size of it.
Yeah.
So are you saying from this really bright yellow line all the way down to the 36 here, this like almost triangular shaped look, is all of their property?
I don't know for sure what portion is theirs. I just know that Highway 36, they gave their land to California to make that highway. So I don't know how much of Highway 36. I don't know if it's just a little bit. I mean, I can't imagine it just being a little bit. It had to, Yeah. So and the fact that it's also named Molten Loop, right? It seems to me like they also probably had a homestead here in the 40s and 50s, and they deeded property, or maybe this is property that they inherited and they didn't live here. I don't know. But I know that I read 100% certain that they gave their land from this area for Highway 36. So yeah, that was pretty cool and crazy to think. And I just wanted to put my head in Terri's head. What was she showing Joseph that for? You know? What
Do
were
we know when her grandparents passed away? Would it be pre-2010?
Yes, it was. Her grandparents passed away in the 1990s, like mid 1990s.
So, wow.
Yeah. Right.
Do we know anything like about inheritances or anything? Did the land like go to other family members?
Well, I was kind of trying to see. California is a little bit different than Oregon, where I wasn't able to go far back. I couldn't even see the actual like land lines. When you normal maps, you can kind of scroll in and see, oh, these are the boundary lines of every property. When you scroll in this area, you can't. So I don't know if it is one large area or not. I did. There's a bunch of addresses though, so they are at least divided by like tax lots, because you go and you zoom in, and I type in Molten Loop, you can see like Zillow listings of land. You know what I mean? Where it just says, oh, this has this much acreage. So I don't know if this has been passed down to Larry. I can only imagine it would be, because who else would have been to? Larry was their only kid.
Do we know whether or not Joseph and Terri went on to the property, or did she just show him the property?
They went on to the property.
Wow. So maybe he does own the property.
Yes. Terri had access to it,
well,
and they went on to the property.
Wow.
Yeah, I
So
would have
Terri
liked to
had
known
access.
like whether or not that place is like got a gate that locks it up or something, or if she had to have a key to unlock the gate to get up in there, or you know what I mean? Like,
Oh
if
yeah.
if they own the property and she was able to come on, can you just walk onto the property, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. I wish too.
From what I remember Joseph telling me is that she had gated access. And she took him out there and kind of told him a little bit about the property was her grandfather's and stuff like that. And but it is definitely, from what I understand, would be secured from just anybody and everybody going on to the property.
I will say, because I'm about to sneeze. I hate that feeling. There we go. That should help. Her grandpa Hobart was born on Lanes Valley Road, and Lanes Valley Road is the one that runs it makes the bottom of the arrowhead, or the bottom of the triangle.
Mm-hmm.
That's Lanes Valley Road, and her dad, it's referenced as that's where he was born and grew up. So maybe this area was all their area. I mean, I know families do, it's really hard for.
Terri talked fondly to Joseph about visiting there, not
Right.
just a little bit, but like going there for long times,
Well, they lived in Chico, that's not too far, for a long time before they moved up to Roseburg. So, and she probably did spend, her parents were teachers. Right. They had summers off. They probably spent summers down here. Yeah. And so this whole area, it blew my mind to see, wow, this is pretty cool. I wish I could put a little person on Street View, but this is so rural, you can't see any Street View on any of these roads. So
just can't help but to wonder, like, does law enforcement know about this piece of property?
I have no idea. I believe, Joseph was interviewed by the detective at the time.
Right. Yeah.
I can't remember if he told me he told the detective. I mean, Joseph and I had many, many conversations, and at, one point or a couple times this came out and stuff. And I can't remember if I ever asked him, did you ever tell law enforcement about this? But he really did think that this place needed to be searched.
Well, hopefully that means he did. I'm going to just have hope and faith that
Yeah.
that means he did mention it, because if his gut was telling you, he was willing to tell you that, I hope he told police that,
I hope so too.
my gut was saying this or whatever. So after this slide, let's see. I told Samantha I had notes, and I went over to my sister's house. My sister is her baby shower is tomorrow, and I'm planning a ton of it. I'm really, really excited. And she's helping by watching my kids tonight. And when I went over there to drop them off, I was going to work on this, and I left my notes there. So I'm winging it.
Well, we can wing it.
This again is her grandparents, and that is her dad as a young boy.
Oh, he's adorable.
I mean, these whole pictures are really cute. Look how cute
I
the
love
rosy cheeks are.
The couple
I love the
themselves
old
are
pictures.
adorable.
Yeah, this is a picture from
grandma-
1940. Crazy.
My grandma collected old pictures. She loved antiques. I love old pictures so much.
Me too. In fact, I love old pictures so much that it's something my husband and I like to do when we go to antique stores. We'll look through the old pictures, and I'll look for any that have any writing on them and see if I can match who they are. And I'm in a group where it's dedicated to reuniting old pictures with their families.
Oh, how
So,
precious.
It's really cool. It's actually really, really awesome. So that's a fun one to be a part of.
Halo likes old pictures too.
All right. These are a ton of newspaper articles that I found all about Larry, Terry's dad, getting different awards, participating in different events. He was really into, as you can see, agriculture, and he entered a lot of shows, and he was winning them. He was getting awards all like crazy. This top one, he was presented with a Baker's Associated engraved certificate for outstanding achievement in agriculture. And even this one on the bottom left I thought was so cute. He was a cute baby. It says, Larry Moulton, great-grandson of Miss Eli Moulton, took first prize in a baby contest at Klamath Falls. Larry is the son of Mr. and Mrs. Hobart Moulton. So, like I said, you go search them. I'm not finding anything bad until Terri comes around. It's like, that it's unfortunate. I've always said, Terri has proclaimed her innocence, but she still allows that dark shadow of suspicion to hang over her and totally stain her base, like we've said, her legacy and her family's legacy. If she's so innocent, why would she do such a thing?
Why doesn't she cooperate and clear her name? Why doesn't she? There's so many why nots.
Yeah.
And I know enough about Terri's other antics that we know she's not an innocent type person. Now, you take it to the level of abducting and coordinating the
abduction of Kyron.
I hate to say it, but the demise of Kyron.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the crimes the other crimes that I know of that she's committed are considered, minor compared to something like that.
Absolutely. Me too. It still shows her that she has no regard.
Exactly. And I mean, when I started following this case, I went into it with an open mind, knowing that some people can be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And if you're the stepmother of a child that disappeared, it'd be very easy for people to make a lot of assumptions. But the harder you looked and the more you got to know the story and stuff like that, she keeps being the one person that seems to have the answers. Nobody else can get you anywhere. And, I was accused a long time ago of, I have a thing against step parents. I don't. I was raised by one of the most wonderful stepfathers a girl could have. So, there's good, there's bad in every walks of life and stuff like that. But I went into it, with a really open mind, wanting it to be a stranger abduction and how do we find this boy and stuff like that. But you catch on pretty quick. It's not a stranger abduction.
I hear that. Right. That's
It's
so
such a
true.
high risk place too to like I've been listening a lot to Chris Madonna. He works for the Cold Case Foundation. I've told you about him earlier, Lori. Like he
Yeah.
mentions the fact that abductors don't want attention. They don't want to go places to abduct children where it would be a high risk for them to grab a child and actually get caught, taking that child. And the schools are just like at the top of the list as just a high risk place to like
Too
go
many
try to take a
witnesses.
child, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're looking for a crime of opportunity, a child playing alone in a yard that you can reach over the fence or
Right.
something
They're
like
not
that.
walking into a school where there's a science fair and 400 people. Come on.
Yeah, because you never know who's watching you.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad. It's very sad. I was under the impression that she had very upstanding parents, and I can't remember where I picked it up, but I thought her father was um, one of those really upstanding people. But I think somewhere along the line, he got quiet about this whole thing.
Yes. Both
And
of her parents have gotten quiet. They both just basically faded off into the sunset and,
I
and
feel
have
like
accepted the fate.
it almost took their lives away from them as well.
It totally did. I mean, aside for James, I mean, I can tell that they had love for Kyron, even if the way that they've acted since has not been loving towards Kyron. They
No.
still had care for Kyron. I might not be able to say love because how could you love somebody and then not do the right thing if they go missing and, they didn't ban against Terri. They protected her.
Well, and they're both, teachers, and he goes on to become a principal and stuff like that. You're
Yeah,
not a teacher if you do not have a
care
love
for
for children,
right.
and it doesn't have to be your child. And this couple certainly proved that they could love without it being their child by simply adopting Terri.
Oh yeah, and we'll get into
So,
that too a little bit about their love for Terri because that's
And
a point I want to talk about.
then you also have Terry's father who came out once on the news and said, like, it's a 50-50 chance
Yeah.
whether she's
Mhm.
going to be arrested for this with Kyron or not.
yes,
So,
he
I mean,
did.
for her
Still
father
has
to
doubt.
say,
Yeah.
yeah, for her father to say 50-50, like, if one of my children, right now, if someone were to say that my child harmed another child or had something to, it would be held to the no. It wouldn't even be 99.9% they didn't do it, and just that 0.1% that no. It would be no, my child had nothing to do with it. There would have to be some really solid something. So I think it's really telling that,
Yeah, I agree.
her
Exactly.
father said that.
He had to be influenced by something, but in playing devil's advocate right now, it could have been as simple as something as the attorney that they were looking to hire convincing him that you need to do this for your daughter because there's a 50-50 chance she's
Yeah.
going to be arrested for this.
Right.
I don't know that he was convinced she did this, but I
Right.
do not believe he was convinced she didn't do it either. I believe
Yes.
that he hoped that she did not do this.
Hmm.
Right.
And I believe that he gave a lot of the family decision making concerning this matter to his wife.
And at this, I also want to make sure to point out her parents are elderly. They
Yes.
are, they're approaching 90 years old. So when Kyron went missing, I don't know what stage, if they had all of their sharpness still or not. I know in my personal life, I've been around a lot of elderly people that their way of thinking and their gullibility and stuff that goes up. And that's why there's things there's laws
That's a good
against like
point.
taking advantage of elderly people because they are easier to trick because of that. And it's that I just want to point out that they are pushing 90 years old. The only reason we're talking about them today is to show they were great people. They did their best with Terri. I don't know what went wrong with Terri because from the moment that she turned 18, she's had nothing but black sheep legacy compared to the stellar legacy of at least her father's side, you know. Um, so yeah, it is just, it's interesting.
It
I
is a, a
I
great
feel
case or an example here of, we all have the question of um, whether it's, nature or nurture, how somebody turns out to be this kind of person and stuff like that. And I think we can clearly say that Terri probably was nurtured very well
yes,
and led in a good direction. So this might be more of it's in her nature thing.
yeah, right.
And
Um, well, as we get on, I have a clip here. I'm pretty sure I put it in here. Let's see what comes up next. Oh, here we go. Here is a picture I found in the newspaper, actually, on the middle row, far right. That is Terri's father graduating Red Bluff High School. So,
Middle row, far right, you said.
yes, middle row,
Okay.
far right. This is him. He actually played on a baseball league for the Merchants baseball. I believe this was a minor league baseball team in the area. And this is a really hard, obviously, I can't tell which one was him for sure, but his name is listed on there on the bottom somewhere. Um, so he played baseball for a minor league baseball for a couple years as he went to college, and he went to UC Davis, which is a very prestigious college. He went to UC
very good
Davis,
college.
and then he went and got his, I believe, his master's at Chico University, and then, like we were talking about earlier, became a teacher. But before he became a teacher, again, here's another picture of him on his minor league baseball team, and I can tell which one is him. He's on the bottom, the third one in from the left.
Oh, yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
that does look like the same face.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, this, I don't know if the date is posted on this, but yeah, this was an old one. This would have been, I think, late 50s, early 60s, maybe. I think late 50s if I was actually going to pinpoint it. Here are a couple news clips I've read about where he went to basic training in the military, and then he moved to Chicago. And here, that second one on the right, it says that he actually went to the Quartermaster Corps as a specialist in biological science, working with the irradiation and preservation of foods. And that's where it says Moulton attended University of California at Davis and Chico State College, where he majored in agricultural science. He received his Army basic training at Fort Ord. So just some more little good bits of information of, he was on the right track. At this point, he and Terri's mom, Mary, and Terri's mom, again, I don't have a lot of information. Haven't deep dived her side of the family yet, but she also is going to college, gets her degree, gets her master's, becomes a teacher. So they are teachers, living life, loving each other. 10 years into marriage, they adopt Terri. So,
Oh, wow.
I,
Together 10 years before they adopt. Okay.
yep,
Do you know whether or not they had been trying to have a child or anything like that
I couldn't find
before
any
adopting?
reports. I couldn't find
Uh-huh.
any reports, but I did find reports where, I guess, before James was born, Terri had said that she struggled with fertility. So I don't know if that's true or not. That's something that I read online on like forums, but
Yes, she was adopted. Yeah, yeah. She was
yes,
adopted.
she was adopted. So she was born in March 1970, and this article was um, put out in May 1970. So she was 2 months old when she was adopted by the Moultons. So
That
don't
is
know.
so strange. Like 2 months old.
I don't know if she spent time in an orphanage or if she was with her birth mother at that time or birth family and then was placed for adoption. That information, I have no idea. California is actually really, really strict with
Yes.
adoptions. I would be surprised if Terri got that information like without putting her DNA on Ancestry and doing the legwork herself. And if you, I am somebody who's done DNA and broken walls for adoption people, and it's not that easy unless you like your long lost sister also DNA tests, you know, and your
Right.
sister was raised by the mom.
My son found his real father through DNA using Ancestry, actually.
It's awesome. I love that stuff. I made everybody in my family go do DNA tests on Ancestry. And I started with my dad because my dad never knew his father. And now I have a rich, rich knowledge of my family history because of this kind of stuff. I love digging into genealogy. So that's why I said this is right up my alley.
I agree with Bigfoot's comment that we don't know anything about her family history.
Right.
We really don't. The only hint that we've ever had is that I guess Terri has told people, or actually, no, I've even confirmed it. Terri tried to change her name at one point to
Yes.
Claire Kisiel or whatever, Kisiel, and that was her birth last name. If you go to the California State Birth Index, you can find where that matches her birth record. So
wasn't that also her first birth name too? Was the first name?
Kisiel.
That was her first name when she was born. So her family last name was that, Kisiel. But I did try to do some seeing if I could find any that might have lived in the area. Terri had hinted that they might be from Grass Valley. I couldn't find any that live in that area. And Grass Valley is a kind of a smaller community. I also have family ties. So I kind of was like, I know exactly where to look for this information. I couldn't find it. So I don't know.
There's so many people in the comments section that says that they have found loved ones. Yaya said my cousin did hers and found out her dad. And then Lily said, I found my mom's paternal family through Ancestry. I just had a long lost cousin find me through Ancestry, who is my Uncle Junior's my Uncle Junior's daughter's daughter. So I don't know what kind of cousin that makes me to her, but yeah, we just reconnected on Facebook. When I was looking at pictures of her, she looked so much like my mom. I was so shocked.
Oh my gosh.
But I mean, it's so cool that Ancestry has all of this, information on there. And then when you start putting your blood into the Ancestry too, on top of it, there's so much information that you can find out about who you're related to or where you came from. It's so cool.
Well, while we're talking about this topic, I just am going to say this because it's something that's important to me. If you want to help solve crimes, like these crimes that have been unsolved for decades, doing Ancestry DNA is one great way to do that. But it's not just doing Ancestry DNA and then leaving it there. There's a little bit of legwork you have to do. And that is going to Ancestry, going to Ancestry DNA and looking at your DNA profile. And you're going to have to download your DNA out of Ancestry. And then you take it to the website that police can access. Because police cannot access 23andMe, Ancestry.com. There's clauses in their contracts. So you have to opt in for that on this special website that law enforcement has, and it's called gedmatch.com. I am going to, after the live, I'm going to put that in the regular comments on the show and keep it there. So go down in the comments so you can find this information if it's something that's important to you. Because when you upload your DNA to gedmatch.com, investigative genetic genealogists can then compare your DNA to potential DNA of crime scenes, and they can
Yep.
build a family tree based on your DNA. They say, oh, Kaylee Bingham put her DNA in here. Well, we know through public records, we can go find out who her parents are, who her grandparents are, who her uncles are, and all that, and start building that family tree. And bam, now they have the suspect. And you just helped solve the 30-year mystery for the small town that has been waiting for this for all those years. So I know,
There have
sorry.
been several lately solved by using this particular kind
Yes.
of DNA. I'm
Right.
watched
It is
some
important to me.
old case. It was
I've
like
been
almost
watching
40
it,
years old.
and I've been intending to do it. I just haven't done it. It's been on the back burner. So
Okay,
You know
good
ladies,
what?
way
us
to get
three,
my fire lit.
gotta make a difference and get off of
Yes.
here and just let's put it in and then we'll
Yeah.
just do that.
Well, you know, if you go to YouTube and you can find this how to do this on YouTube, because that's exactly how I did it, because it's not like something that's just like right in front of your face on Ancestry. So if you go to like YouTube and you type in extract ancestry for GED match or something like that, it'll show you a step by step to do it. And
Yes.
it's really easy. But so
Thank
yeah,
you, Halo, for adding that up. Thank you so much.
Yes.
thank you so much
All
for
need to
allowing me to go
be
on that bird walk real quick. It's, you know, we never
Yep.
know what we will do to help bring justice to families who have been waiting so long for it. So every little bit that I can do, I will do. And I wanted to share that. So
Zane Lilly here says, I always hoped I'd make my DNA test and find out that I'm some Irish princess and owned a castle.
oh my gosh, right? That'd be like the dream
If you
come
ever
true.
find out that you have a big castle, I want to go.
Yeah. That'd be a group venture. All right, let's continue. Let's see what I got next here. Okay. This house here is the street that, or the actual house that Terri and her family lived in Chico when she was young, before they moved to Roseburg. This is where they lived until they moved here, which is their first house that they had in Roseburg when Terri was little. And then after that, then now this is the infamous house that they live in now. This picture came from Oregon Live. As so many Kyron supporters know, when Terri was asked to move out and finally agreed to move out of the home that her and Kaine shared, but it was in Kaine's name only. Kaine had bought in it. This is actually a point that kind of pisses me off. Terri, or Kaine found out that allegedly Terri had hired not one, but allegedly 3 separate people to try to unalive him. And when he found out how dangerous the situation really, really was for him and Kiara, he fled. Him and Kiara left, and Terri stayed in the house. And that's when infamously Dee Dee moved in for all those days, blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't until like July 15th that Terri finally agreed to leave the Horman house. And finally, Kaine was filing in court some contempt of court charges against her and trying to force her out. And the reason why, he was saying, what if Kyron was found tomorrow? And where am I supposed to go? Terry's the one that's in the home that we, you know what I mean, that we share. It's not like he would go running back to Terri. So Terri
Right.
expected Kyron to go stay at this undisclosed location, which was not the comfort of his home. That actually, when I saw that Kaine pointed that out, I was like, wow, Terri really is so freaking low. I don't care who you are. She thought that she was going to be the one to stay in the house. I don't know. I mean, I know that situation was really probably confusing for her, but think about that. What was
Yeah,
she
he's
thinking?
been gone and nobody knows what has happened to him.
No.
And if he was in the arms of somebody else, like he would have wanted to come home and been somewhere comfortable.
Yes.
I mean, whatever he had gone through in those whatever moments, if he had been found, of course, this child is going to want and need,
Yes.
like emotionally, mentally need to go home.
But you guys have to remember, she was portraying herself as such the loving mother, and that Desiree was not a good mother.
Exactly.
She was keeping up this persona of the Kyron would come to her, and she's living a character is what she was doing during
Oh
those.
yeah. Right.
I
She
mean,
was a double life.
we're looking back with the hindsight, but in those days, she really was. In those
Fooling.
days, that's when I was very active in the case,
Yeah.
and she really tried to portray herself as a very loving mother, and she really portrayed Desiree in a very just poor, disgusting light. And when you find out that she's just lying about it, and Kaine is just watching her, I guess they were probably advised by law enforcement not to push her wrong buttons. But
Yeah.
I do not know how Desiree did not lose control of her emotions
Right.
and defend herself and stuff like that. But I guess she was willing to do whatever it took to bring that little boy back and let the world think that she was something that she wasn't, if that would bring that little boy back. But it was, you could tell it was a disgusting me, I'm wonderful, she's not
Mm-hmm.
type of situation. And I mean, to do that right in front of cameras, right in front of the woman, right in front of your husband, all these people that know it's a lie. And
Yeah.
she would do it, right? I mean, there's a pathology to that alone.
Mm-hmm.
That's not normal.
I don't think there's anything normal about Terri. I mean, we'll get into some of hers. It's very interesting what I found and what I was reading. So,
Okay.
you can see on the door here, there's a note taped there. When Terri finally agreed to move out and came to Roseburg, they put signs on the door saying, "Don't bother, don't bother." And like we said, they protected Terri from that point on. They cushioned everything. They paid
Yes.
for her defense. They remortgaged their house. Their house was probably, if not close to paid off, completely paid off. And then they remortgaged it, and now they'll probably be in debt the rest of their lives over Terri. And there's no way Terri has made enough money to pay them back, not even close. Terri has never supported herself from what I can tell. And we'll get into that. Um, yeah, I do agree. I would go too, but the fact that she was still there and wouldn't leave, she was stomping
Yeah.
her feet and trying to get her attorneys to basically fight it. And then finally, I think her attorneys were finally like, "Hey, it's not making you look good," and she agreed to leave. And then that's when Kaine fought. He was trying to go for contempt of court charges against her because not only what did he leave, Terri knew where he was because on the restraining order it had his address. And she went and showed Michael Cook, the man that she was sexting, the restraining order, which was prohibited by the court. She was not allowed to do that. She let him take pictures of the restraining order for some weird reason. Why the heck did he even want pictures of that? And then
Yeah,
asked
and
him to lie about it.
and those pictures had where Kaine and Kiara's
Yes.
location was. So
So
it's like
what the heck?
there's only a couple of reasons why that could be. Either one, he wanted the address because he was going to help Terri kidnap Kiara, or two, did she ask Michael Cook to unalive Kaine? Was this another one of those kinds of plots? Because we actually had somebody get a hold of us here recently that has talked to us about this information. We have found out that Michael Cook didn't live far away at all from the very first Fred Meyers where Terri visited that day. We also found out that he's back into living at that house and has been spoken to many, many times throughout the years by law enforcement. So what's up with that?
Yeah, right. What is up with that? Right. I think this might be the last slide of here. Okay. Yep, that's the end of that one. Well, let me think. What would I do next? So, okay.
Yeah,
Let's do the
sexting with someone that was Kaine's friend. This man that comes out of nowhere, hasn't seen Kaine in 7 or 8 years, Bigfoot Barbecue, and decides he wants to do the candid visual for Kyron, and then all of a sudden decides to start sexting with Terri towards the end of June. We also found out that he is a long distance runner, and we know from Dee Dee Spicer's past that she is also a long distance runner. Again, we have another person involved in this case with a lot of coincidences.
Yeah,
Like just
right.
a bunch of
Coincidences.
coincidences.
Not only was she sexting Michael Cook, but also I want people to remember she was also sexting the landscaper that came forward and said that she tried to hire him to unalive Kaine. And we know this because in a sworn statement, meaning under oath, Kaine's attorney said that the police basically, it says something like the police told the attorney that Terri had texts with the landscaper of similar sexual overtures, and they requested that the judge review the text with the landscaper in camera review, which means in private. So they presented these to the judge, and the judge has seen these sex with the landscaper. They exist. She was sexting everybody. I believe she was
That's
sexting.
exactly right.
She was using that as her way of, she was charming to people. She had a double, triple, quadruple life.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
and like Chris Madonna says, like every single person has three different kinds of personalities within themselves. They have their secret life, they have their social life, and then they have their real life, the person that they are when they're home, when they're not around other people. Everybody has a secret. Everybody is different when they're out hanging out with friends or being, in their social world. So everybody has like these three different kinds. And Terri Horman, she used her sexuality
Yeah.
Her
all
sexuality
the time
meant
to
everything to
manipulate.
her.
Yeah.
To her, that was power. And
Mhm.
if Kaine was being unfaithful to her, she was online meeting whoever would engage with her.
Which isn't hard. I mean, I'm not going to lie. When Terri was younger, she was beautiful.
She
And
was stunning.
she took good care of herself.
She has some very beautiful pictures of herself and some very graphic footage that she
And
shares with people. And I've
Lori
seen
has
it.
seen some stuff. Lori has seen. We'll get into that. Lori, I'm so
Yeah.
glad you're here. I'm so glad you're here to talk about this.
Yeah.
Because
She
some of
has
our
some
newer
very-
people might not have caught that old one, so this will be interesting. So, let's dive right into that. Will you please put on next, Samantha?
The what?
The one that says next.
Okay. Oh, okay. Now I see it.
Alrighty, so this is diving into Terri's life, okay? Here's some good old pictures of teenage Terri when she was a high school student in Roseburg.
and you can see her blooming already in the
Yes.
picture on the right.
From one to the, yes, exactly. Her brace is on in the left, and then to the right, she's feeling better about herself, and she's looking better too, and her hair's better. She's just growing into herself. It's normal. We all go through something
Crazy
like
to
that.
see this style out again. When we were at my grandson's concert at the high school last night, I saw all of the girls in just all of the older clothes, like the little pearl necklaces and stuff.
Oh
There's
my
so
gosh.
much style coming back again.
I love it.
It's
I'm
so
so
cute.
grateful for high-rise pants. I'm so
Right?
Yeah, the high-rise pants and the great big wide leg pants with the
Yes.
I think
Yes.
it's so freaking cute. I wish
I do too.
I was thinner and could just sport those off a little bit better.
Yep.
Yaya says my ninth grade picture looks just like her. I love it. That's so funny. If I showed my high school pictures, you all would laugh the same.
Yep.
I think that's just a
Like you
universal
said,
experience.
we all went through it.
Yeah, right. That's just universal experience.
But Terri did grow into an absolutely stunning woman.
Yeah, and she I think she took good care of herself. Here's a picture of her. I think she's in the middle there on the bottom. I think
so.
this
That's her.
might have been her younger picture, if I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
And then here's another one coming up right up on the far left there on the bottom.
Okay.
Yep.
So she reportedly did really, really well with sports. After high school, she worked at the Fred Meyer in Roseburg, which is a street view of current day, but it's been in the same location since then. And that's actually where she met her second husband, Richard Ecker. That's his name.
What
Richard
is
Ecker.
with Fred Myers and this bitch?
I know, right? Yeah,
God.
it's just intertwined. Yeah, so
Sorry.
so around this time, actually, when she gets out of high school, she graduated high school in 1988. Yes. And she did go to a community college. So, right off the bat, I'm not knocking community college, but I'm going to compare it to UC Davis,
Yes.
Right off the bat, I'm noticing a little bit different of a path. Okay. And she meets her second husband working at this store, but they don't start dating. They just become friends. And she actually starts dating a man named Sean Ray in 1990. And this is a part of her story that doesn't come up until later. She allegedly dates this Sean Ray guy in 1990, and they have this weird interaction at a park that doesn't come full circle until after Kyron disappears. But I want to just pause right where we're at and talk about it now, because this is the time of when it would have happened in her life. She would have been
reflect who she is.
Yes, she would have been 20, and I think Sean was 18. And I'm gonna just skip now, Samantha. I know I'm gonna have to go back to this one, but can you do the one that says Kalia B with Kyle Aboshi's face on it?
Mm-hmm.
Into Terry's past because we think it's
critical. There we go. Let's listen to this video. It's a really quick one. I think it's maybe like a minute and a half. It's kind of sped up, but it's going to talk about just the gist of what Sean Ray said happened, and a little bit of how that relates to Kyron. And I'll just play it now. So thanks, Kyle Aboshi. He's been doing reporting on Kyron's case for a long time. And this video actually is clipped out of like a 20-minute long, really long video about this topic. So feel free to go.
You gotta really speed it up too. I heard him like.
Yeah, I think I did 1.3. So I just did it because I only wanted to get this main part, and I clipped out all the irrelevant bits. I just wanted to hear what he had to say about Sean Ray and the murder for hire that Terri, I guess, had on this guy. And then I want to hear what you guys think. What would have been the motivation? So here we go.
Okay. We've continued to dig into Terry's past because we think it's critical, not only to the case of Kyron Horman, but just her behaviors as well. That's what brought us here today. Well, we got a tip maybe about a month ago. A coworker came up to me and provided some important information about this case that she had gotten from a source. And that really was the kickstart that we needed to dig back into this. We were able to reach this ex-boyfriend who lives in Oregon. And I'm hesitant to give a lot of information about him. His name is Sean Ray. He's very private and didn't seek the media attention, really didn't want the media attention. It's something where we went to him. And I called him repeatedly, didn't hear back, sent him a letter in the mail, asking some questions, and he finally did respond. We had a lengthy phone conversation where he described the situation and these allegations, and then we actually went to visit him, and he's quite a ways away. And essentially, here's the story that he tells, and this is the focus of our investigation. He was dating Terri Horman back in 1990. They were young. Terri was 20 years old at the time. He claims it was a relationship that was kind of on the rocks, and yet they went out that summer and had Chinese food in a park, and we're sitting there. Mr. Ray says that as they were sitting there, he saw a man come out of the bushes with a gun, pointing it at him and approaching quickly. He claims that Terri turned and said, "He's here for you," pointing to the gunman. Ray says he took off running. No shots were fired. He didn't report it to police. He just thought it was weird at the time. He wasn't quite sure exactly what happened. He's a young guy, but that was bizarre, right? So they separated, went their own way. He actually moved to Eastern Oregon, had forgotten about Terri Horman, or Terri Moulton as she was known at the time. So 2011 rolls along. Police are investigating Terri Horman for the disappearance of her stepson, Kyron Horman, asking everybody who knows Terri Horman, what do you know about her? What do you know about her past? They reach out to this gentleman and say, "Hey, we remember that you, or we have information that you dated Terri Horman or Terri Moulton some years ago. Do you remember anything about it?" He says, "Yeah, I told this story about this alleged murder for hire plot that he thought was bizarre." Well, they informed him, "Listen, we have information from a prison inmate who confessed and tells essentially the same story about an alleged murder for hire plot. So here you have two individuals, don't know each other, don't appear to have any connection, telling essentially the same story about an alleged murder for hire plot in 1990. Police are really interested about what this Sean Ray has to say. They fly him back to Portland, interview him, have him testify at one point before a grand jury. That's all secret, so we don't know exactly what he testified. They also drove him to Roseburg and drove him around a little bit, and Mr. Ray says that they had him go to the park and point out specifically where this allegedly occurred.
Okay, so I've stopped it there. There's no more to watch after this, but that was interesting to me because, like, as he's saying, he testified to the grand jury. What was he testifying about? He had to. He wasn't saying anything about Kyron. He was only testifying about what happened in that instance. So to me, does that mean they were thinking? What were they investigating it? I mean, they had to have been looking at it as a conspiracy to commit murder charge against her. You know what I mean? Like, do they have an actual police? They do. I mean, he tried to get the police case file from Roseburg and they denied him. And that's how we found out the grand jury was impaneled. But what he goes on to talk about right after this clip, which I wish I just would have kept in because now that I think about it, it is kind of interesting. He says he testifies to the grand jury, but that was in 2011. That police found out about this in 2011. The police report didn't get created until 2011 for this incident. It didn't get created back in 1990. But what Kyle Eboshi went on to say is this report was from 2016. So why all of a sudden is police interested in this now 5 years later when they've been sitting on this information? Did they come into information that made it more relevant? Was it because the prison person confessed and they matched it to the police report? I don't know. But for some reason, they sat from 2011 to 2016, and that's when they impaneled the grand jury to talk about this. That's when they started really diving into the Sean Ray and driving him around and stuff like that. That's what Kyle Eboshi continues on after this. He goes on to say, what we don't really understand is why not in 2011? Why now? Why is it so important now? And this was all 2016 and 2015 was a really, really rough time for Terri. And we'll get into that because, and Lori has a lot to talk about there too, because that's right where you fit in with Joseph Cristobal. So,
well, yeah, and I think that this boyfriend from 1990, we do have another, murder for hire thing here going on, but he was also with Terri. Did he ever witness her doing anything like Joseph did? Did she ever threaten him with a knife or a GUN or, what was her personality like when they were together? Did they find out something through him that's like, hey, we could use your testimony in this case to describe her personality or something? So, I mean, it could also even be something like that. I do believe it has a lot to do with this murder for hire, but I mean, just like Joseph, he could have also had a lot more information to add on to it.
Yeah, right. And I mean,
the fact that stands out to me, ladies, is the fact that so they have a gentleman in prison that confesses to this crime or this incident, whatever. It's a crime.
Yes, right. Let's just be real here.
So this is a person that is pre the history to committing crimes, let's assume, but she is running with characters that are like this. You know what I'm saying? Most of us wouldn't even associate with somebody that would be willing to do such a thing. Yet she's actually not only knows them, but she's talked them into doing it for her.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And obviously this person is spending time in prison, so he's not a good person. And she's only 20. She's 20 years old.
Very early. And I mean,
my thoughts, this is all alleged. She's never been charged for this. This has never been actually they've never released anything other than what we know of based on,
Right.
The police have never released anything actually themselves at all about this. It's Kyle Eboshi who went and spoke with this man who got all the information from from Sean himself. And what I find interesting when I put myself in Terri's shoes is, what the heck was she thinking? Like, what was her end game? Because it's not like she was married to the guy and was going to get his life insurance.
Right.
I just don't know. Like, I mean, I'm not going to doubt Sean Ray, especially if inmate confessed to it later and corroborates the story. It's just,
and
I don't get Terri. I mean, she's a criminal. I don't get her behavior one way or the other. And I find myself head scratching myself over Terri's antics constantly.
And in case anybody didn't hear it, because Kylie Boshi was talking super fast,
Yes.
there was a guy that was in prison that actually says something about this murder for hire. So you have the ex-boyfriend from 1990 plus the guy in prison talking about this murder for
They're
hire.
telling the same
Two
story.
people, yes, two people don't know each other telling the same story. Chelsea Diaz has a question. Sorry, who is Joseph to Terri? Joseph is a man that lived down in California. It is Terri's ex-boyfriend. She was staying with him when she had a stolen gun in her possession. He ended up getting a restraining order against her because she threatened him with a knife, and threatened his family, and pretty much told him, you know, I'm going to alive you if you ever speak about Kyron to law enforcement.
Yeah.
And you know, we believe that he could be still in hiding now from Terri because she scared the hell out of him.
Yeah, right. I mean,
and ended up very terrified by the actions of the woman.
Yes, our special guest here today, Lori Oliver here, she actually knew Joseph and where they were friends, and they did a lot of stuff looking through Terri's computer, turning this computer over to law enforcement. She was actually on one of our other lives and gave us a lot of information about Terri and what was going on at that time.
Yep. Okay, go back to the next and let's continue on Terri's version of the legacy. So again, she's working at Fred Meyer's. She gets married. Okay. She gets married to her first husband and they have a son. And along the way, they open this Chubby's restaurant. And this is, you know, it took me a while. I really, really wanted to find a picture of the actual restaurant. And here we go. Found it in the newspaper. It credits it down at the bottom here. It says it's getting ready for opening. Shortly after they open this restaurant, like I'm talking like a year or two, they sue the Chubby's like franchise, saying that they misrepresented the deal. Here's the first page of their lawsuit. So it actually was Ron Tarver, Terri Tarver, Larry Moulton, and Carol Moulton. Larry and Carol gave Terri the money to do this. Of course, they went in on it and helped her along the way. And what I found super interesting is, like, remember, this was 1994. It says Ron Tarver, this is from the newspaper, Ron Tarver, Terri Tarver, and others versus Chubby's Food Service, Inc. They seek $700,000 in economic damages and $500,000 in non-economic damages and unspecified punitive damages in a suit. So they were seeking over $1 million in 1994, which would have been over $2 million in today's value. They did not get that. They settled for $250,000, but I just thought, wow, they really were shooting for the stars here. They saw a chance at some money bags and they tried really hard. And again, I want to point out, this was a time, I think the Chubby's venture was a time where Terri was working, but then after that, I can't find a consistent work history for her. She really was, you know, she probably lived off that $250,000 for a while. That probably was a way for her to be supported, because after her and her first husband divorced in 1995, then
Hold on 1 second. I have a question. So how much did they win from this lawsuit?
$250,000.
Okay. And then she divorces Ron right afterwards, correct?
Yeah, basically. Yep.
Yeah, so like I think we and you have talked about this before. So here
Yep.
she is, this money and greedy personality that she has. You know, she goes in, they do this lawsuit, they win money. Boom, I'm divorcing Ron. And it's like, how much money did she end up getting out of that lawsuit? Was that planned thing for her to do? Like, okay, let's do this lawsuit. I'll get some money out of this, and then I'm gonna leave him, so she has like money and means to actually live off of
Right.
herself
Yeah, that's cool.
after they're divorced, you know?
Well, I remember reading through their divorce paperwork that at first she didn't have Ron pay child support, but then within 6 months, I think Terri wrote all of her own legal documents for both of her first divorces in her own handwriting, 100% herself, and then her husband's basically just signed the dotted line. And she wrote in there that she was going to give her first husband 6 months because he also had no income. They just lost their business. She was going to give him 6 months before child support, and she did enforce that. After 6 months, she did start, or at least she didn't go to court right away. I'll get to that. So she divorces him in 1995. She writes something like, by July 1996, you got to give me child support. In the meantime, August 1996 rolls around and she gets married. Here's a glamour shot of Terri. Enjoy. I don't know why I included that, but she gets married to her second husband, who she actually has been friends with this whole time. Her second husband was a groomsman at her first wedding. And she married him less than a year after she divorced her first husband. So she jumped to her second man right away.
And which one of these men is the man who ends up adopting James?
This is James's adopted father here. The first husband was James' biological father. This is James' adopted father. She talks this man into adopting James, and he does. They talk because of the child support, because Ron has never got his shit together since they divorced. He never paid child support, and she did go after him from the date of July 1996 until this man adopted James, which I can't remember what date that is, but she did end up going to court and getting a judgment and got all that money from him. She made sure of it before he adopted James. So then this man adopts James, and Terri actually gets hit by a drunk driver. And Richard gave an interview to Oregon Live, and he actually describes Terri getting hit by the drunk driver as something that completely put their life to a standstill. It changed their life completely. She suffered. She had physical ailments from that. I don't know how bad the accident was. I don't have details. I do find it ironic that she ends up going in drunk driving later when she was hit and was a victim of a drunk driver that put her life on a standstill,
with her kid in the car.
Right.
I never knew she got hit by a drunk driver. That's new information to me.
So she actually got a settlement again from the drunk driving accident. So a lot of people speculate again that is what sustained her and her family. And when she got hit from her drunk driver, that's when she went back to school to become a teacher. So that was in the late 90s. So her parents, again, right off the bat, were on the right track and married for 10 years, had this stable life, adopted a child. Terri's over here jumping from one man to the other, skirting through life on settlements, and then finally decides to go back to school when she has the support of her husband and her husband's family. And she goes full time. She gets her degree in 2 years, which to me, I'm just reading between the lines. That means she wasn't working. She was going to school full time.
And it doesn't look like Terri liked being alone much.
No, we'll get to that too, because she stayed married to this man for a couple years. Let me go back to wherever we were.
Yeah, I do that all the time. It's so easy to do.
Yeah, I went to push play and then I pushed
Glamour shot.
This glamour shot will come up later. So yes, let's see what's the next on the slide. Okay. I included this because these are Terri's or lists that she gifted her parents-in-laws, so that man's father and mother. 10 best things about a father-in-law, 10 best things about a mother-in-law. And reportedly, she wrote them tons of poetry, and she was really, really nice to them. Like, she showed up at the airport with balloons and flowers, and they felt like uneasy and it felt like forced and unnatural to them. They reported that.
It reminds me of that commercial, extra, or the newspaper, extra, extra, read all about it. It's just extra.
Yeah, yeah, right. It is. And look at this. So I included this because Desiree, she describes when she looks through Kaine's briefcase as she finds a list. And look, Terri loves lists. Here's 2 of them right in front of our face. A list of 10 things.
She just said in her last interview that she was making a list and writing out her timeline on the computer after Kyron disappeared, because she asked her what she was doing. She got all worked up about her asking, and she was like, well, I'm writing out my timeline. And I'm glad that you brought this up, because I have heard so many times through the years of her and her writing and list, and like her practicing to go on to the Dr. Phil show, how she would rehearse it. And yeah, this is kind of her thing.
It is. Yeah, that's one thing. I don't doubt that Terri has journals and has kept a diary, and
she definitely does. She even on the computer that I viewed, she had the beginning of a story that's so similar to the Kyron case, but it makes her out right away to be some sort of, it's very creepy.
I think you told us that. That's crazy.
Whirlwind. Yeah. It's almost like she was practicing how she was going to spin it in the end to be some sort of heroine in the whole, story and stuff like that, but she hadn't completed it yet. But right from the beginning, she makes herself look very good and stuff like that. And she doesn't list this as a real story or anything like that, but it's so similar to what happened to Kyron that you can tell it's related to that.
Yeah, she definitely is motivated by that. I'm sure it's something. The fact that she stays lurking on Kyron groups and definitely reads stuff, like she's never joined the group, which, she thinks this is some point of pride. I've never been a group member here. To me, that just makes it more creepy, because that means you have to actually go to the Kyron group and actually go through everything you want to read, instead of it just naturally popping up on your timeline. You're spending time sitting there reading and liking weird comments and letting misinformation spew. And it's just even weirder that you're not a member. So don't look at it as a point of pride.
Profiles too. Like, she has so many different fake profiles and she's been, watching all different kinds of groups, whether they're Terri supporters or not Terri supporters groups. She's just always in the background lurking, always.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's watching everything.
Yeah. She wants to be in the know.
Imagine the amount of time that she has to dedicate to keep up with all the pages, everything.
Oh yeah. It's funny
what story, Yaya? I'm just curious. Does the police have a copy of that story?
On the computer, I think the question's for me. The police got possession of that computer, so what I saw, they definitely saw.
We will talk about that laptop in greater detail here as we get closer to that time. We're really close. And yeah, I definitely want to spend time talking about that again, because it's been a while. And even I have forgotten some of the things that are on there. Like, I forgot the things, the really, like, you don't want to see this. My eyes are burning. Alrighty. Let's see here on the next slide. Oh, here we go. This is when she divorced her second husband, Richard Ecker. Again, so she's writing this in her own paper, and he's just signing it like no problem. She writes, child support will not be issued. Terri accepts financial burden in its entirely with the child because parties agree. The presumed amount is $169 a month. So I almost feel like she tricks her husbands, because the first one, she also gave him this grace period, right? And then now the second one, she's telling him, no, you don't need to pay me child support. But she still goes back and then says, okay, actually, you know, I changed my mind. And she goes back to the court after this is filed and actually gets that $169 a month, and has the adopted father, who's no longer in James's life, mind you, doesn't have a relationship with James any longer.
With his relationship.
Yep. This man is now paying Terri and supporting Terri and James, not in James's life, doesn't even talk to him. And get this, they divorce in 2001, October 2001. When's Kyron born? September 2002. Kaine and Terri met before, within a year of her divorcing her second husband. She's married, she's moving in with freaking Kaine Horman. She's jumping from man to man to man with her son, not giving him any sense of stableness or stability.
And don't forget, she takes Edgar back to court and bumps up the child support payments to over $500.
Yep. I have that coming up, actually. You'll see. I have that. So I'm
going to a potty break. I'll be right back. Hold on.
Okay, no worries. But yeah, I think when I read this, I don't know if like she tricks them into agreeing to the divorce. I mean, they probably don't get tricked into agreeing to the divorce necessarily, but what is the point of saying no child support and then changing it, you know? But yeah, when I saw that, how she just jumps from man to man to man, that really stood out to me, because even later in life, there is talk about her having multiple boyfriends and going from one boyfriend to the other. She's never alone. She is incapable almost. If someone says codependent, I think that's a good way to describe it. I think that she is so deeply insecure that she's afraid to be alone, and she can't support herself. So she needs a partner to support her. Those are my theories.
I agree. I totally agree. At the time that she was involved with Joseph, he believes there was 2 other men in her life at the same time.
Yeah. Right. You know what? I mean, there had to have been, because the man that she lived with, where she stole the GUN, and then she moved in with Joseph not long.
And she begged Joseph to let her move in because she would be homeless if he did not allow her to.
Wow. She really, really pulls on people's heartstrings. I think people
really does. And she got him paying the child support for Kiara.
Oh my gosh.
And stuff like that for, a period of time. I know after they split up, he probably quit paying it. But
yeah, it goes to show, I mean, he cared about her, and he expected their life to continue. He
really did.
Had no idea that she was Terri Horman. She was going by Terri Moulton at the time, and nobody knew where she was. She really did fall off the radar at that time, and nobody knew she had the gun charge because she was going by Terri Moulton, although I don't think she had legally changed her name. Legally, she was still Terri Horman, but she was flying under the radar.
Yeah. Well, and I believe in California, she only would have had to present her birth certificate, which would be the name Moulton.
Right.
To get a driver's license with the Moulton name.
Oh, so true. So it wouldn't have been any issue.
Right. Because if I go in and I get a driver's license in my married name, I also have to bring my marriage license. But if you don't bring it,
right.
Pretend you were never married. So stuff like that. So that's how she ended up with a license in California in the Moulton name.
Well,
hi, Callie. Nice to see you.
She is very manipulative, Callie Dime. That's a great descriptor. Yeah. And she's very charmingly
cunning.
Fake. Yeah, cunning. Yeah. And people fell for it. And that's not their fault. She's just a master of that manipulation.
I think she's the type of person that you could meet somewhere and she would start talking to you and be so warm to you that you would easily be charmed by her.
Mm-hmm. But right, I agree. I mean, people still are. People still to this day think she was this loving, doting mother of Kyron, You know, it's bizarre. So yeah, I mean, she's had decades of practice of doing this. So this
Exactly right.
picture is one of the elementary schools that she subbed at. You know, she is told that she's a teacher. She was a substitute teacher. She's never held a full-time teaching position. This is one of the places that she subbed at, and in Hillsborough. She also subbed here at this elementary school, and she met some friends subbing here, and then even moved in with somebody that she worked with at one of these elementary schools. And that person was interviewed by Oregon Live, and they also described Terri as being charming. But then when she moved in, the true colors were shown, and she said she was inconsiderate and selfish, and wanted to or rearranged her furniture and put her bookshelf outside full of books where it was destroyed by the rain. This is what Oregon Live reported that this ex-roommate said Terri did. So this had nothing to do with Desiree. This had nothing to do with Kaine. This is a completely third-party person saying what the heck happened. That is freaking weird, and that is not cool.
Which one of these schools is the school that we've gotten a message from that woman who said that her son was in her class?
I'm not sure.
I believe the story went that her son was in the class and he was wearing a coat. He was very, very attached to his coat. He would get upset. I believe her son even had some disability issues of some sort. And this coat gets sopping wet because she puts it in a toilet and then puts it back on him, is what this mother claims happened to her son as like a punishment because her little boy, I guess, had aggravated her at some point during the day at school that day.
I vaguely remember a story similar to that. I think I can't remember the details of it, but I do have vague recollection of a story like that. I don't understand why they're using her as a substitute teacher with a child endangerment charge on her record.
We'll get to that because this was before. This would have been still 2002.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So she technically was a teacher when she met Kaine. She was a substitute teacher, but she moved in with Kaine, and that's when she went back to get her master's degree. So I think Kaine's, again, she was supported by a man while she went again for her third time to go get her degree. That's when she got her master's degree, I think in 2003 or 2004. So she was living with Kaine at that point, but still never holding a job, a long-term teaching position. This was when they got married, actually, in 2007. So I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but so basically Kaine and Terri were together from 2002 until 2007 is when they got married, and then they divorced, or filed for divorce after Kyron disappeared, and it was finalized in 2013.
Okay.
Let's see the next slide here. 2005. That's when this happened. 2005, Terri has self-described and has written posts about it on her old Facebook, about this was a really low point for her. She was drunk driving with her 10-year-old son in the car, or 11-year-old son, and she got on I-5 drunk driving. She was double the legal limit. That's our biggest highway in the area. She gets on I-5, and I have almost feel like I've read she got on the wrong way, but I don't know for sure if that's true. I just want to put that out there. I don't know if that's true or if I'm misremembering it. We have talked about this briefly in past lives. James was told that she was on pills, so she wasn't honest to James about what happened that time. James still was kind of in denial about it because he was talking to somebody on Facebook and we were going over the screenshots. And yeah, it was brought up that Terri lied to James about this incident when he was 11 and told him she was on pills. I don't know if that means sleeping pills and she was trying to deflect, or if she meant actual drugs and was under the influence. I don't
Yeah,
know.
to say
But
that I was on pills now, people would assume it's some sort of
yes, that's what
painkiller.
I'm thinking. Yeah, I'm not thinking like, oh, I took a melatonin or I took I
Right.
took my sleeping pill a little early and I got drowsy, you know.
My vitamins make me like this.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
But this is where you were talking about where pled guilty to her DUI. She was over twice or just around twice the legal limit, and she pled guilty to reckless driving and child endangerment.
I'm with Zane right here. Like, I did not know about pills.
Yes.
Well, I don't know that we know for sure it was
What
pills.
No,
kind
we
of
do
pills?
know for sure because
Yes.
James
We have a
spoke
screenshot.
about it.
Yes. James has screenshots talking about this with a woman where the woman says, James, do you remember when she lied to you about that and told you it was pills? And he continues the conversation saying, I still don't know what the truth is, if it was pills or if it was alcohol.
So is James now willing to
He
cooperate?
was. I actually have a clip of him. He did give an interview. He did get active in Facebook for a while. Since then, you don't hear anything from him. He's definitely
He's
not.
on my friends list, and I only check in with him on the holidays and let him know that somebody's thinking of him and stuff like that. But you
The
know,
thing
I
with
don't
James is he
push
just
him.
started spreading misinformation. He started supporting the Terri supporters in their group and going on their YouTube channel. And I mean, like literally spewing some very serious lies and rumors in Kyron's case, convincing people that law enforcement is looking overseas for Kyron when they are 100% not.
So
Yeah.
James was doing this, or this
Yes.
is what
Yes.
his mother was telling him.
Well, I'm
James
sure.
himself was doing it.
Yes.
That's what he
Wow.
personally told me and a handful of other women. Actually, it wasn't just a handful of women. It was like 20 of us.
Thousands of groups. I mean, he did an interview for anybody who you can still go and listen to it right now. I have a clip of it that we'll play a little later.
Wow.
This is when Terri's teaching license lapsed. She has never had any actual disciplinary actions taken against her. She's never lost her teaching license over this. But the speculation is she let it lapse and purposely didn't renew it for X amount of years. So that way, when she did the application, she could truthfully answer the question, do you have a conviction within X amount of years? And she could say no, and it wouldn't be a lie and it wouldn't come up on her record. That I don't know if that's true, but when you actually go and you find the root of where did this start, that is where I found this talked about. Like,
Okay.
oh, maybe she did this, maybe not. But Terri's never actually had a disciplinary action taken against her teaching license and lost it for this. But still, it goes without saying, it's absolutely horrible to drink and drive with your kid, twice the legal limit. And what stood out to me is that when Kaine was asked about this incident later, after Kyron disappeared, he said that Terri admitted to him that she started drinking behind his back at night so she could fall asleep easier. She was having trouble sleeping. And that's almost the same thing that he says happened the second time, that she was doing it at night. And if she got away with it the first time,
Yeah.
I don't know. I know that especially if Kaine is not necessarily around people that have problems with addiction or alcoholism, he might not be.
It is really hard to recognize if you
Yes.
are not, if you have not experienced it prior to that. I've been naive myself and, got my comeuppance in a very painful way in my own life. So I will vouch for it. If you don't know the signs, you don't recognize the signs.
I still struggle, and I do have family members that are in active addiction, and I still struggle with second guessing, am I sure or am I not? I'm not very good at it, so I'm not going to sit here and say that that would be super obvious to anybody.
Yeah.
especially if they were good at hiding it and they didn't want to get caught.
Exactly.
So after 2005, then, like I said, they, before I move on, DHS opened a case on Kyron's mom over this incident. So I'll just read this here. It says DHS opened a case on Kyron's stepmother years ago in the wake of Sunday morning news of an alleged murder-for-hire plot claiming Terri Horman tried to have her soon-to-be ex-husband Kaine unalived. Authorities now confirm detectives shared this information with Kaine Horman just before he filed for divorce, moved out of their home, and took their daughter with him. A landscaper who worked with the Horman family claims the stepmother to the missing boy, Kyron Horman, offered him a large sum of money to do the deed. He alleges she approached him about 6 to 7 months before Kyron disappeared. The landscaper has not been identified. We have called Terri's newly hired attorney, Stephen Howes, and he has yet to return our calls. On Sunday, K2 News also received our first confirmation that Terri Horman has been the subject of a prior investigation regarding her parenting. A source confirmed late Sunday afternoon that the Oregon Department of Human Services opened a case on Terri Horman following a 2005 arrest and a charge of driving under the influence. Her biological son, who was 11 at the time, was in the car when his mother was arrested. As such, Horman also was convicted of reckless endangerment of that son. Horman pleaded guilty in that incident. She had her license suspended for a month and a half and served out a 12-month probation of these convictions. So I do believe that's a diversion. Like, that's a light sentence for your first offense.
I was going to say that's pretty easy going compared to what goes on in California.
Right?
Yeah, Zane Lily's actually saying like the same thing. And just like this is information that I had never heard, the DHS stuff before. And this is just part of a whole bunch of new information that Kaylee and I and Heidi has actually found that we are currently going through. And we're going to be doing another live on this soon. And as again, everybody knows that the information that we talk about and that we share here, we will always post in our Facebook, Kyron Horman Case Revisited. If you ever want to go over there, see the, documentation or the website, the link, the information for yourself. And while I got a chance here just to go over, put up the tip line phone number in case you have a tip. Please call it in. It doesn't matter how big or small it is. It only takes one tip and one tip only for law enforcement to get that one tip that could help this case, break this case right through and help arrest somebody for what has happened to Kyron Horman. The tip line phone number is 503-988-0560. Please, if you have any information at all, contact the tip line.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, let's see what's next. Like I said, I'm going just by visual cues here. Okay, here we go. This is now 2008. So by this point, she's married to Kaine for a year and has been living with him since 2002. This is filed January 1st, 2008. Her second husband, Richard Ecker, who's been paying child support that's been bumped up, he tries to get the court to stop. He wants to stop paying child support. And he writes, I have heard that she is working at Red Lobster and she is also remarried. He's like, dude, I don't even know this kid anymore. I have no relationship. She's freaking remarried at this point. She has a job. Why am I still supporting her? And Terri, 6 months later, contests it. And she writes, there has been no attempt for contact via phone, mail, etc., showing interest in James for over 3 years. And I have been the sole provider for child and wish support to continue to help pay for college fund, clothing, and food. So it's like, I don't care. If I'm in Terri's shoes, I'm letting that man fucking go. I'm sorry for the F-bomb, but come on. You are holding this man hostage. He's not even the biological father, and you were only married to him for 4 years.
He's a financial resource to her, though.
Yes.
She's not a human being. He's a financial resource.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And look, she's married to Kaine, yet she signs her name Terri L. Moulton. She
Yep.
doesn't want to give the impression that she's Terri Horman to the court. I'm still Terri L. Moulton, okay? I still need money from my ex, not even baby daddy. I just want to show again, she is signing Terri Moulton. This is the actual registered mail certificate for when he tried to file to stop. This is dated August 16, so they went back and forth a bit. He lost. He was paying her over $500 a month in child support.
And he
For
lost.
so long that it ended
Yes.
up being thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that he ends up paying for a child he adopts
Oh,
out
yeah.
of the kindness of his heart, whom he loved, whom Terri never let see again, and then, upgraded the child support even though he wasn't even seen him. Like, how could the court, first
Dude.
of all, even allow that to happen?
I
How
don't
can
know.
they raise the child support payment when this adopted father isn't even
Right.
seeing him?
You want to know the craziest part, too? By this point in time, James was visiting his bio dad every other weekend.
I
So
remember that.
he had, not
I
only was she
remember that.
remarried with Kaine, but he had reestablished with his actual freaking bio parent, and she was co-parenting with him, and she was getting every other weekend off by this other man taking care of James. And who knows,
He's
maybe
not
she was
paying any child support.
maybe she was asking him to, hey, can you buy school supplies?
Oh,
Hey, can you do this? You never know. I mean, I don't know what the status was of their relationship at that time, but it still is just like that Richard Eckerd guy went to the courts and was like, please give me a break. Look at
Yeah.
all the situation. And the court was still like, no, we're going to go with the woman, you know?
Yeah, and it wasn't even until he ends up hearing about the fact in the news after Kyron came up missing
Oh, yeah. Well,
that he
yeah.
was sent to the grandparents' house to live, and then he was like, okay, going back to court, I'm not paying child support anymore, tells the court like he isn't even living with her, and ends up having, those payments and stuff dropped. But I mean, that
Not
wasn't
without a
until
fight. Not without a fight. Terry still
exactly.
tried to fight him on that. And I
Yep.
have those documents too. So the next stain in Terry's legacy of crap on her freaking crap stain legacy here.
Crap, I love it.
Yep. Is Kyron. Of course, this is the biggest, the one that she will never escape from. She is the last person to have seen and to be seen with Kyron officially without with don't listen to anybody else. That is official from the investigation. That
And I'm one of the ones that totally believe she put that shirt on him that day on purpose.
oh yeah, I
I do.
believe that too.
Cat and mouse game in her head.
I
It's
believe
all part of her game with this whole picture, her proof of life picture, her, secret picture, her trophy picture, and it also has the CSI. Like, it's all
Yes.
so creepy.
yeah.
And I mean,
right.
she knows she's going to battle Desiree, and she knows that Desiree's husband is a detective, and it's let me outsmart all of you.
Another taunt. Another taunt in the face. Here, I'll even put
And
the
then she
CSI
takes-
shirt on him today.
Mm-hmm. So we know I'm not going to go, and honestly, we love you, Kyron. We will definitely spend a lot more time diving into your case next live, but this is about Terri. So we know what happened with Kyron and her legacy of that part. But like I mentioned earlier, her parents love Terri, and they remortgaged their house to pay for her criminal defense attorney to defend Terri of that, make sure she stayed her butt out of prison. And I just want to put this picture that I found on Terry's old Facebook up, or no, actually, this is on her mom's Facebook. Look at that glamour shot above their mantle.
Yep.
That's how much they love Terri. And look, they have some trophies, it looks like, on the left side too. Like it just seems like Terri is something that they've all yes, they have always wanted it to be. They've done right by her anytime that she's needed them. They've come to her savior, that she's bailed her out over and over again. And like you said, Lori, Terri kind of ruined their life too. They're going to be in debt the rest of their lives because of Terri's actions. They severed their relationship with their not just Kyron as their grandkid, their step grandkid, but Kiara. You know, they loved Kiara too. They've never seen Kiara. So, I mean, Terri
and that
just
poor little girl's got to be curious too. I mean,
yes. I mean,
you
she
can't
has
help but want to know your real parents,
yeah.
and
Right?
how do you tell her your mother's too dangerous for me to let you see her?
I think Kaine has done probably a good job. I mean, he's talked about doing it in an age appropriate way. And Lori, if you're interested in hearing the interview with James, I'll send you a link to it later because it, you know, I
would
do know
love-
you. I know you care about James. We've talked about it, and he was a kid. At the end of the day, he was just a kid when Kyron went missing, and I don't care. I know a lot of people that have, you know, traumatic relationships with their mom. That trauma bond does stuff to your brain.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna. I mean, I think he's done a lot of damage for Kyron's case, and I'm honestly glad that he stepped away and stopped doing the damage. But I also can't sit here and say that I don't blame him for trying to protect his mom, because it's human nature to sit in denial. It takes a lot to get out of that. So I just see it both ways.
Protect your mom, though, and then to spread misinformation in Kyron's case. That's where I'm at on it.
Well,
I mean,
that's why I hope he stops.
you know, his being a young boy, like a young teenage boy when his brother came up missing, and the fact that him and Kaine loved each other so much, and that he was like Kaine's son to him, and that bond being broken because of all of this, I think is very sad.
I agree.
But I also think that, you know,
I think
if he would have been the man that Kaine had really raised him to be, because he looked up to Kaine as like his father. That's how much they loved each other. And he should have moved forward in keeping Kyron's case truthful. And that's where I'm just livid and pissed off about it, because
I agree.
you know, I get it with your mom and everything else. And if you want to do something for Kyron, go do it. But tell the truth. Don't spread misinformation in this case.
100%. Yeah, and
I've always said that even if Terri is the biggest monster in the world, she may not be the exact monster that got him. And James always has that. I mean, it certainly looks like it's her and everything else, but you know, until the proof is exposed all the way around.
Yeah, he might just
we've
be
got
holding on to
burner
that
phone.
ball.
We've got that burner phone information now, where Desiree literally says that the burner phone information and the physical evidence that is on that connects Dee Dee and Terri to Kyron's disappearance.
Yes,
there is evidence out there. I just hope Nathan Vasquez just takes this information and runs with it.
Right. I agree.
I hope we see justice.
Oh my goodness. We've got a new member in the house. Whoop, whoop. Thank you, LaTanya, for becoming a whisperer. The second whisper of the night, I'm playing it again. We appreciate you guys so much for being here. Always, always, always. Don't ever feel pressured to become a member. Thank you for joining us always. Thank you for subscribing. If you guys could hit that thumbs up button, we would really appreciate it. It helps the algorithm here and YouTube. It helps people see the live here on Kyron, for Kyron on Terri. Yeah, thank you guys so much. Yeah, Kelly Dime, why the burner phone?
And allegedly she still used them long after Kyron disappeared. So we definitely will talk about that. Let's see.
Callie, do you know what a burner phone is?
Oh yeah, she knows where to burn
Okay.
her phone is.
I just wanted to make sure that that wasn't the question she was asking, because I didn't even know what a burner phone was until this case.
Okay, so what we have on the screen here is, let me give you some backstory before I get into it, but this is an email sent to Terri. The backstory to this email is Terri had befriended some friends that became really fierce supporters of her online, and just kind of like we see now. Basically, I've made that mention before. Terri has done the same song and dance with supporters going hard for her, and then they just drop off the face of the earth. And then she finds new supporters that go hard for her, spread all this misinformation, and then they drop off the face of the earth and they delete all their crap. It's so weird. So we're just in the new age of Terri supporters in 2024, but this was the 2015 age of Terri supporters. And Terri allegedly developed a relationship with this friend, this friend's son. So
Is this
Sandy Lessman.
okay? I
Yep.
thought so.
So Terri allegedly, of course, by this point, like I said, this is the point in time where she is keeping a lower profile. The divorce is settled. The custody issue is settled. She's attempted to change her name. She's made some friends, and she started sleeping with her friend's son. Confuses or manipulates her friend's son into talking him into giving her his retirement check. He had just cashed out a retirement account. She says, I'll take it to my bank and cash it for you and give you the money, but she keeps the money. And then this is the email from the friend to Terri about this. And the subject says, I forgive you. And as you can see, it says from S.K. Lessman, that's Sandy Lessman, to Kiziel, because at this point, Terry's going by Claire Kiziel. That's the name she wants to change her name to around this same time, but she's denied. Anyway, the email says, so how does one look at themselves in the mirror with what you have done to my family, especially my most troubled son, all the while feigning suicidal issues to me while playing one hell of a scam game with April to keep anyone from confronting you? Only a sociopath who doesn't care about how they hurt those who care about them. Irony, your fraud will end up dragging my family through the mud even more due to your theft of money. Not much more damage you can do as what my supporting you has already done, except nail the lid on your legal coffin. Simply communicating would have sufficed. Instead, you steal my son's retirement funds, which you had coerced him into cashing under the guise of helping him deal with his troubles. It doesn't get much lower than that. Manipulation, Terri. I really don't understand how you could do this. I'm so disappointed. I forgive you for treating me, and then it cuts off there. But we do have Terry's reply to this email, and that's what I got coming up next. This is Terry's reply. It says, no feigning, no scam with April, and I do not fear a mental eval. Jesus, that is a low blow since it's not me who won't let me do it. I'm pausing here because Sandy's email must have continued on and poked at her about the fact that Terri won't take a mental evaluation regarding the custody of her daughter. That's one of the stipulations that Terri had to do to get custody, and Terri wouldn't do it because it would have addressed the disappearance of Kyron, and Terri didn't want to address that. So Terry's over here saying that is a low blow since it's not me who won't let me do it. She's basically, again, passing the buck, saying I can't, and I'm guessing she means my attorney won't let me do it. You have a choice. Your attorney doesn't control you. You can basically say screw you, and your attorney will still represent you. You know,
Especially for the amount that she had to give him to get that representation.
Oh, and while we're on a pause, I just would like to say, if you're ever interested, go look up the kind of people Stephen House has represented, because Terry isn't even close to the worst one. In fact, if you go type in Stephen House and then type in the words Dr. Death after, have fun reading about it. Very interesting.
I just shared a link to about a live that we did about her. I think it was called like Terry's scandalous life or something like that. And I just wanted to put it up because we have shared some of this information there before, but there is so much more of her
Yes.
scandalous ways in
Right.
that other live too that you guys can go over and see. Because I mean, we, even though we put this list of scandalous things that she had done and we put it together, it's very quickly, mind you, there was still so much more that we could add to that too. I
Wow.
mean, what she has done is just, it's, Kelly or someone else in here earlier, or maybe it was Zane Lilly that mentioned like a slap on the hand. Always, it's always what she's
Yes.
getting is just like a slap on the hand. She's not getting in trouble for all the stuff that she's done through the years.
Mhm.
It's crazy.
And too bad if they could see it all added up, they'd see exactly
my
what
gosh.
she really is and that she deserves more than a slap.
Oh, exactly. Those jail bars need to slap her.
Yes.
Communication with you is extremely difficult, and I have tried repeatedly. I opened this hoping that you did forgive me because walking away like I did wasn't right, but obviously it was a ploy to have me read your true thoughts. I have asked April for her new address to send the money for Drew. Did she tell you that? I'll be using a reimbursement from Peter to do so, but hey, whatever. Peter is her attorney. So she's saying I'll be using a reimbursement from Peter Bunch to reimburse who she stole the retirement money from. But hey, whatever. Too bad your bank couldn't have cashed it for you, and then you couldn't pin this on me. What the heck kind of accountability does this woman like? I'm it's pissing me off to read this because if I would have gotten this from someone I thought was my friend,
No kidding.
and like you can't take even an ounce of what you did, and you really don't care about our friendship so much that you're gonna throw this back on the person that you hurt. Okay. She said, I absolutely helped Drew numerous times and literally put him to bed during several of his drunken escapades or highs. Lost keys, coats, wallets, money, the list goes on. You have no idea this kind of pain. None. I'm not living a life of happiness and joy. I'm currently homeless. Happy? I've sold everything and have nothing. I'm not staying with family because I won't put them through that again. But I guess you just know me. No money, no way to support myself, no children, nothing. Yep, living the grand life. Excuse me. You are all better without me. Enjoy. So that's Terry's reply to when her friend is basically saying, I can't believe you did this to me. And she basically said, well, if you would have done it, it's just bizarre. And now that I'm kind of in 2015, I realize that I must have skipped the part where you were talking about that earlier, Sam. I thought I had included legal documents where Terri literally says that no, James has been living with me, when we all know now, James, like you've said, James moved out months and months prior, and this was when she was writing it in October. So she's willing to lie through the court system just to keep her freaking $500 child support. Like, that's so important to her. But
it's money motivated is this thing, just like
yes.
Lori talks about with her too.
Yeah.
Is everything she does is either some sexual scandal or money motivation for something,
Mm-hmm. This is one that I wanted to include this full story because a lot of people have heard that Terri had this charge brought up against her, where she stole a gun and she was found not guilty. I want to make a point because in the interview that James did, if anybody's going to go and look and listen to it, James was incorrect. James had said some things either intentionally or not that were not true. And one of them was that the charges against his mom for the stolen gun were dropped. That's not true. They were not. She went to trial for this to a jury, and a jury found her not guilty because they thought she was going to return the gun. But let's rewind. She's living with this man. Lori, you know a little bit more. Was she dating that man?
I believe that they were romantically involved. I have not met that man, but he was a military type person and he had a gun. And from what I understand, it wasn't a gun that he kept laying around and stuff like that, but he had it in a safe place. And so when she took it, he didn't necessarily notice it missing because it's not like it's on the kitchen table and all of a sudden it's not on the kitchen table.
Right.
It was put away in a safe place.
Yes.
And so
he realized, like, when she moved out or something, it was gone.
Well, I believe it was reported that the gun was in a safe.
Yeah.
So this is about the same time that she meets Joseph, and she starts, playing her seduction games with Joseph, but she's still living with this other man and stuff like that. And she's telling the other man that this Joseph is interested in her and harassing her at work and all this kind of stuff. And that's where she tries to convince him that she needed the gun and stuff like that. And she probably told the jury something like that and stuff like that. But she actually, the picture I have on my page of her holding that gun, she actually, I believe, was psychologically abusing Joseph at that point already by letting him know I have access to a gun.
Yeah.
So anyway, it gets found out and reported that it's missing, and he kicks her out and everything else, and they're going their separate ways. I don't know what she was planning with the gun, but she has quite a history with trying to talk people into doing stuff for her.
Yes.
Yeah, she steals this gun, and then it's reported, and then she doesn't go to court, and she gets a warrant for her arrest, and then she's carrying it around for a year, and then she's pulled over in a car that is stolen, and this gun is inside the glove box of the car, and she has a warrant for her arrest for not showing up to the court proceeding that she was supposed to go to. So she ends up getting arrested.
A year ago.
Yeah. That she ends up getting arrested for. I mean,
she gets herself in quite the mess.
She does.
Yeah, we have talked about the gun and the car stuff so many times. She
gets herself kicked out with that guy, and she begs him to let her move in with him because she's going to be homeless.
And he does. And they begin. That's when their relationship begins.
Yep, was a very naive individual, and I don't think he's nearly so naive now. But he was very naive. But he lets her move in. She almost immediately starts pressuring him to get married and stuff like that. And the culture that he comes from, they don't take that lightly and stuff like that. So he's not saying no, it'll never happen, but he's not going to rush into it either. But so they're moving on. I know. I hear you. It blows my mind. And she was getting so many privileges from these courtrooms and stuff like that because I was attending some of this stuff, trying to come face to face with her just to get to ask her what she did with Kyron.
Yeah, Lori was actually interviewed by Kylie Boshi outside of the courthouse.
Yeah. And the truth is, I wanted to keep the pressure on her like we had. I mean, how else are you going to get her to come clean if we don't pressure her into just, Anyway, everybody's trying to get the answers on Kyron, and I was too at the time and stuff like that. But she meets this Joseph who's gullible and stuff like that. She starts flirting with him and talking him into things and stuff like that. And he's, like I say, he's not necessarily opposed to getting married, but he's not going to rush into it. So he's kind of putting her off and stuff like that, but he's starting to see some alarming behaviors out of her.
And it's important to know she never identifies herself as Kyron Horman's stepmother.
Right.
He has no idea her connection to Kyron Horman.
He doesn't even
Yeah,
know
not
the
until
story.
not until she's about to go on to the Dr. Phil show when she knows that her face is going to be shown everywhere.
Exactly. She and her exact words to Joseph during this time when she's going on to the Dr. Phil show, she finally has to start telling him that she's going to go on this show and what happened. But she was introducing the story in some very bizarre ways. Like she was saying, this child in Oregon turned up missing and it was a big deal and blah, 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 blah. Next thing you know, she's telling him, well, I was related to the child that turned up missing and it went national and stuff like that and stuff. Then she finally confesses, I was the stepmother to the child that turned up missing and I was the last one to have seen him. And then she tells him she's going on the Dr. Phil show and she asks him to go with her and stuff like that. And she says, his parents have made enough money off of his story. It's now my turn to start making the money.
Wow.
That's why she agreed to go on the Dr. Phil show.
Wow.
Very,
That
very
is-
simple.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's funny because there are people that are wrongfully accused and wrongfully convicted. Our justice system is not perfect, but a lot of times when people are truly innocent victim or innocent, they're proven innocent later. That is their legacy, and they stand on it, and they make, like, you know, a foundation. They help other people that are wrongly accused. Instead, Terri is just doing nothing but floundering and just wiping her butt with her legacy for the longer she goes. Basically, that's how I see. And again, so this is 2016. So she lived with them. Okay, she was living with her parents in 2014 when she couldn't find a job and she couldn't change her name. She moved. She had to flee. She moved to California, and that's when she started going by Terri Moulton again and got a new job and was laying low, and she was living with that man. So again, she's never supported herself. She's never been alone. Then she jumps to Joseph. And then when Joseph starts getting worried and things are starting to make him feel uneasy about Terri, he's saying things like she's using burner phones still in 2016. She was using burner phones. She had a regular phone and a burner phone that she referred to as a burner phone. And she was communicating with people on that burner phone. And then I have a video here. If you click the one that says domestic violence, it's you can click it in just a sec. It is.
Sorry,
Oh, you're fast. Your reflexes right there. But this is just a little news report. Again, this is only like a minute and a half, maybe two, that just explains the restraining order and the domestic violence that Joseph Cristobal accused Terri of in November 2016.
The mother of Kyron Horman says she's extremely concerned after the latest developments involving Terri Horman. Over the past week, we've learned Horman faces a gun charge in California, along with a restraining order now. KGW's Kylie Boshi is live in the newsroom with a reaction from the missing boy's mother. Kyle?
Desiree Young is concerned someone will be hurt. She wants Terri Horman to face criminal charges in Oregon and California. Kyron Horman's stepmother, Terri Horman, needs to be held accountable once and for all, said Desiree Young.
I guess surprised and then reassured. It just further reinforces my feeling that we have the right person.
The missing boy's mother is reacting to stunning developments out of California. A judge ordered a temporary restraining order against Terri Horman, also known as Terri Moulton, after claims of domestic violence. A Sacramento man who describes himself as Horman's domestic partner says she put a kitchen knife to my face, and threatened something is going to happen to me or my family if he spoke to police. A hearing on the restraining order is scheduled for next Friday in Sacramento County, the same day Horman is due in Yuba County Court for a different case involving a different alleged victim. Police say in August of 2015, Horman stole a handgun from her roommate. She's pleading not guilty to the misdemeanor crime. Earlier this year, Horman told national media she doesn't know what happened to her stepson. Kyron Horman was last seen on June 4th, 2010.
She likes to create situations where she is in the spotlight, if no other reason than just for attention for herself.
Terri Horman has long been the focus of investigators, but never been charged or officially named as a suspect. The man who took out the restraining order against Terri Horman tells me he's been in contact with police in Oregon and California. Terri Horman could not be reached for comment.
So yeah, that he just said it right there. That man was in contact with police, meaning they opened a case on this. There might not have been charges filed, but they opened a case on this. They got all the details. There were police reports, and they probably stuck it all in Kyron's case. And just like we've always heard, they are going to unleash the beast on Terri as soon as they can. And all that evidence is so intertwined. I feel like they just can't. They don't want to let it all out. They can't do the murder for hires because then they're going to give up what they got.
How much
on
they have
Kyron.
on it.
Yes, they just can't do it. There's too much at stake.
Yeah.
Plus, we know now that Multnomah County is famous for collecting everything, and when they go after someone, they go after it, like with tons and tons of information you're not going to be able to hide from, nothing. Like when the cuffs go on Terri and they finally arrest her, she's going to prison for the rest of her life. I truly believe
that's where she belongs. Because I've honestly thought for the longest time that the next crime that we would see out of her would be a Black Widow type crime.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised.
She sees men as a financial opportunity. And if there's any life insurance or anything like that to get to his whole estate, and the life insurance policy would be the big coup de grace for her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know.
Well, so this is the end of 2016. 2017, go ahead and play the next one that's on there that just says Kalia B. Samantha. Okay, I'll pause it here. This is when he filed that restraining order, they broke up and she moved out, right? She had to go to her next location, which I think was another boyfriend. It may even be the man she's currently married to, because she married him in 2017 or 2018. Again, only a year or two after. She's just jumping. She doesn't spend any time.
I don't know who she moved in with. For a little while, she was living on her own because I got in contact with her landlord.
Oh, yes. You did tell me that before.
So for a little while, she was living on her own, but she moved to the Bay Area or the Napa Valley area and stuff. And I do believe that the man that she next targeted was in the photograph of them being at a ball game.
Yes, right. And she tried to get a restraining order on him, and he or something. She sued him. He countersued, and he won because it was frivolous, something weird. I didn't get all the details, but again, it's nothing great. And this right around this time when Joseph and Terri, when that happened to Joseph, obviously he never saw Terri again. He was terrified for his life.
Joseph was hiding. He was couch surfing for a while with friends so that she could never get a fix on where he was at and stuff like that. And of course, his friends didn't want that drama coming to their house, so they wouldn't let him stay for very long and stuff like that. But that man was terrified for his life.
Well, when she left her laptop behind.
Right.
And that was something that the police were really interested in. And Lori, being friends with Joseph, actually got to look through the laptop with Joseph. Like we've mentioned earlier, she saw that story Terri was working on. And you also tell us a little bit, I think like you saw an explicit photo of Terri. Is that right?
Yeah. So at the time that I saw the laptop, we were also working with Tom Jensen.
Yes,
and
Tom
he was a reporter from Oregon originally and who moved down to California. But he was one of the original reporters on the Kyron case too. And because he had moved to California and him and I had bumped into each other, accidentally, and I was wearing my Kyron pin and he spoke to me about it at that time, introduced himself and stuff. So I knew to reach out to him and stuff. And we went through that computer. And one of the files there is a graphic very graphic recording of her pleasuring herself with a cucumber. And
I forgot. My goodness.
yeah, it's something that I wish I could forget.
I'm
But
sure.
Oh,
the
Oh,
thing that shocked me the most was that Tom Jensen says, "Yeah, I've seen that before."
oh my gosh.
oh my God.
The reporter had already at least contacted somebody she'd also shared that video with. And Joseph told me about the video that she had, used it to lure him in. It's a part of her seductive play with the phone sex and stuff like that. She shares that video with men. And
Oh my gosh.
and it's not even a current video of her. It's a former video of her when she was thinner and more attractive and stuff like that. So she baits him like that.
OMG.
Yes.
Oh my good Lord. I
Exactly.
just
And then she
can't.
goes off and leaves the computer that this
Yeah.
is on, and she knows that they're on bad terms. She knows, that it's very likely that he's going to go to the police unless, I mean, he was terrified. Maybe she believed he wouldn't. He was really a terrified man.
Yeah.
But what scared me was that
These
he
comment section, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're good.
what scared me was that she had tried to talk him into going to Idaho to purchase a gun where apparently you don't have to have the 10-day waiting period that you do here in California and stuff for them to
my
do your
God.
background and stuff. And then she wanted him to use that gun to go kill Stacy Green.
Yeah.
And when she's trying to talk him into doing this for her, he's basically trying to rationalize with her, are you out of your mind? You're talking about murder here.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And so when she put that knife to him and she's threatening him, I think he was a believer. And that's about the time that I'm meeting the man that's terrified and trying to get the restraining order.
Right. And he's just like, I just need to protect myself and not keep myself alive. I don't know what this woman's capable of. And obviously, that makes perfect sense. She's over here thinking, maybe he'll do this for me. And he's actually being scared shitless. And then now she's like, oh, great. Now I have to threaten him. And scare him. I could see what you mean, where she really thought that I'll scare him so bad that he won't go to police. But she was so dumb to leave the laptop, and I'm so glad because it all worked out because investigators in California and investigators in Oregon talked to Joseph.
Actually, yeah. Oregon flew the investigators down here and they had possession of the laptop for a period of time. So they had more time to go through it and see everything that was on it than I did.
Right.
I was so stunned by the time I got to her seductive video that I don't think I could think straight anymore. But,
yeah. Right.
It was a bit shocking, but I had read that story and that story really stuck in my mind that this is going to be an ongoing thing that it's just like her rehearsing her answers that she thinks she's going to get from Dr. Phil.
Yeah.
She's trying to rehearse a narrative that makes her come out looking okay or looking good or clearing her to make her look innocent.
Right.
And that I believe that was the purpose of that story is I have to come up with something that makes this look realistic, that I didn't do this.
I need to throw something up real quick just because we're, saying KILLGUN and that kind of stuff for a second. I need to throw up. Hold on 1 second.
We need to appease YouTube.
Yeah.
Bow down to
Yeah,
YouTube.
the
We're
disclaimers and the
sorry.
copyright, the fair use, all that kind of stuff will kind of protect it in a way that they won't be able to not monetize this particular live show. They try doing it a lot, I've noticed, but I usually dispute it. And get what I want. So there's that.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good.
Usually when
Okay,
I
I might
dispute
actually.
it, I write things out. So
Oh, here we go. I wanted to read this because that video that we played, this just goes into a little bit more detail. So again, Kyle Eboshi spoke with Joseph as well. So this is coming from straight to out of his mouth. And Kyle Eboshi is a stand-up reporter, so we know what he's reporting
Yes,
is
he
the truth.
is.
So it says, the stepmother of Kyron Horman is facing more legal trouble in California. Terri Lynn Moulton, also known as Terri Horman, is accused of domestic violence. I'm fearing for my life, said Joseph in a phone interview with KGW. I don't even know what she's capable of doing. The Sacramento man who describes himself as Moulton's domestic partner filed for a temporary restraining order against her on November 28, 2016. She was trying to put a kitchen knife to my face, and then she was telling me that if I talk to law enforcement that something is going to happen to me or my family, explained Cristobal. A hearing for the restraining order is scheduled for December 16 in Sacramento County Superior Court. Moulton has not been charged for a crime related to Cristobal's accusations. That same day, Moulton is scheduled to appear in Yuma County Court on a different case involving a different victim. Police say she stole a handgun. And then it kind of goes in about that. Again, just like it was reported in August 2015, and she didn't go to jail for stealing the gun until July 2016. So what was she doing for a year? And I think I even have the picture, which also was found on the laptop. This picture, this is the mugshot from when she was arrested at that time. And I pixelated it for the YouTube gods. So this is Terry's hand holding the stolen weapon. And she was prohibited from even owning a firearm through her divorce and custody proceedings. That was part of the settlement. However, I just think that that's not enforceable. It's not like she actually broke a law, I guess.
If she
but
borrowed it, then she's
yes,
not owning
then
it,
I'm
right?
good. Right, exactly.
And that's
So,
what
yeah.
she convinced the jury she did, was that she was going to return it. It was just a borrowed thing, not a...
Sabina, you asked who took the picture. Terry allegedly took this picture herself and either sent it to somebody or showed somebody, and we believe it was to show them, I have this in my possession, don't F with me.
Actually, Kelly, let me correct that a little bit. Terry did take the picture, but she sent it to Joseph.
Okay.
To, at the time, threaten him if he steps out of line. This is when he's first getting to know her, but he thinks she's joking. Okay. But he does have...
Can you fast forward that, Kaylia? Because if they say something and
He
I have
did
to
keep
this
the
part
picture,
out,
and he
we're gonna
forwarded
have
it.
to. Thank you. We'll have to cut out the whole entire talking part. Sorry. Thank you.
Hopefully they wouldn't be able to tell because it's pixelated.
They do, though. They don't allow it on there, and they'll make me cut out that entire part, or yeah, they won't monetize. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. But yeah.
That's what she was up to.
Yes, so then I put this picture of Terry because this is, her with her kids, quote unquote, right? This is the next segment into one thing I really wanted to drive home with people is she again wants to pretend and act. I mean, that's one of her keystone defenses is I was the one who was raising Kyron. I couldn't have done this. I was so loving and devoted to my kids. Yet she has none of them in her life, including her older son, James, which is on her shoulder, or her baby in her hands, because she completely abandoned that child when Kyron disappeared. She had the choice to make. Defend myself and prove my innocence, or keep talking and incriminate myself, and I'm going to jail. And she chose, I gotta shut my mouth so I don't go to jail, and that means bye-bye, baby. I'll see you when you're 18, hopefully. That was the plan that Terry chose.
Or it was let her go and they were going to try to kidnap her at that one point, I believe.
Yes, I do believe that she had, but also, I mean, at that point, would she have gotten away with it? I feel like that would have came around and
Kaylee was asking why they put the information in there about the GUN in her divorce settlement. It was because of the murder for hires that she had tried to get on Kaine.
good point. So Terri, throughout the years, there's been some back and forth. Terri doesn't want people to know she abandoned her baby that's in her arms. So this is something that Terri supporters for a long time tried to defend her and say that no, Terri does see her daughter. Terri, when she did finally start talking about Kyron in 2016, she told different reporters different things about why she hasn't been reunited with Kiara yet. By this point, 6 years had passed, and 2 years had passed from the settlement of the custody, where the court said, yeah, you can reunite with Kiara. You're right. Your defense attorney is right. You haven't been charged with any crime. And if there was a charge, things would be different. But since there's not, we can't completely stop you from being a parent to your kid. So yeah, if you subject yourself to the mental evaluation and you discuss certain things, which would, basically it wouldn't just be about Kyron, it would be a fuller picture, but they're gonna address Kyron's disappearance because that's a huge part now of Kiara's life too. So yeah, so she had the choice, but she chose not to. But she told her first interviewer, which was in early 2016, she told them that she wants to do it. She wants to do the process to get back in her daughter's life, but the process is slow going. That was what she told the reporter. So she was basically blaming time. Time is in my way. And remember, 2 years had passed at that point. Then she goes on Dr. Phil months and months later, and she tells Dr. Phil, I pretty much would say this is pretty much an exact quote. I did everything that was asked of me by the summer of 2014. So she tells Dr. Phil, I mean, to me, it's insinuating that, yes, I have reunited, or I've done everything that's asked of me, but it's still not my fault that I'm not reunited with my daughter, Well, in the meantime, Terry's freaking getting arrested for freaking stolen guns, driving a stolen vehicle, getting a domestic violence restraining order for allegedly holding a knife up to someone's neck. Do you really think a judge is going to sign off on a kid going back to a parent and with those kind of things happening in their life? I can tell you for sure, if anybody's been through family court judges don't mess around when it comes to the safety of kids. So no, I don't believe Terri did anything to reunite her daughter. And in fact, this is the part of the video I wanted to play. This is part of the interview with James. Sorry, it's really zoomed in. That's why it's hard to see and it's horrible quality. But I want to hear.
Can we hold on just for one second? Hold on. Somebody said something up here about hearing from the other group, and I just want to address it before I lose it because it's going way up in the feed. She said that she heard a rumor. I read that supporters said it was Terri that was taking care of Kyron and Desiree never went to Kyron's games. That is not true. We actually have pictures. There's pictures out there of her being at soccer games, being at these games, coming into town. She visited with him regularly and everything else. And these supporters, they really try to paint this picture of Terri being like the mom, the only mom. They call her mom. They call Desiree bio mom. They attack Desiree at every chance they get. I mean, it's really bad.
There's
really
photographs, though, of Desiree sitting there at the soccer game and Kyron sitting on her lap, while and you can see they're happy together. Very happy together.
Oh, yeah. Every time you see a picture of Kyron
and
with his mom or his brother.
BS.
Mm-hmm. It is BS.
Thank
It's
you,
just
Halo,
it's
for your work.
just to be hurtful. That's all that
It
is. It's to pour salt in a wound.
Yep.
But this is basically, I think, the last thing I have to talk about like Terri's, again, crap stain legacy. Her parents loved her and stood behind her even in her worst of times, and Terri didn't give two craps about her kids. Sent one away to go be taken care of by her parents and totally walked away from her other one. And then her stepson, she's most likely responsible for his demise as well. So yeah, it's just bizarre. And like, as we reflect on how people, you know, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I know for sure that her parents are super great people behind closed doors. I don't know. Maybe they abused the heck out of Terri when the doors were closed. I don't know. But when you Google them and you look at their history, it's like, wow, Terri, you really just ruined the molten name. It just stopped at you, huh? All that greatness behind the molten name. And here is James answering a question when somebody specifically asked him about the rumors regarding the child support and does Terri see her daughter Kiara. This is what James has to say in response to those questions.
Your mom doesn't pay child support, that Terri just gave up on seeing her. Like, why do you think all that is? Is any of it true? Did she just not want to deal with taking classes and doing all that? Or was there something else there?
It's hard to say on some of that because,
Mhm.
you know, it's a lot of he said, she said kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Kaine would tell me some things and like, she's not doing her bargain. And then she's telling me, oh, well, the process is held up by, you know, some bullshit. And
So he answers that by saying, Kaine tells me Terri's not doing her end of the bargain. And Terri tells me the process is held up by some bull crap. Those are James's own words. So he's getting conflicting stories from Kaine and Terri, right? Who are we going to believe here? And I don't think, based on the word choice from James, it doesn't sound like James believes his mom, because why would he call it bullcrap? So let me continue.
I feel sorry for James.
So yeah, it's difficult to tell exactly what's going on with that. I did personally see payments made. So I believe that the child support was at least being paid, and I do think that Kaine would have pursued her had she not been making
she
child
would be in
support
jail,
payments.
right? At least for that. I mean,
I don't know what the legal process is for not paying child support, but I know it's not great. So
yeah, they took away your license, and well, here,
they can at least take away your license, right?
yeah.
So yeah, she's at least paying child support, or was at least paying child support a year ago, I guess. And you know, so I don't know exactly what's the holdup there, but my guess is a lot of the rumors are founded in the fact that, you know, she doesn't see Kiara, and so yeah, I mean that's one of those things. It's easy to, you can't really prove it one way or the other because that's kind of a thing between them and their lawyers. You know, no one else really has information on that.
So he's right from his mouth. She doesn't see Kiara. And the Terri supporters for a long time, even after the one you hear asking the question, that's one of Terri's biggest mouthpiece supporters out there right now. She's asking the question, and James straight up told her Terri doesn't see Kiara, yet that same supporter goes on and spreads misinformation later and says that's a lie. Not that James is lying, but that it's a lie that Terri doesn't see Kiara. In fact, they concoct this new misinformation excuse and says Terri sees Kiara, but is prohibited from talking about it, like she had signed some non-disclosure agreement about it. I know, right?
Brother.
Yes. So that's the kind of crap.
People believe that kind of stuff.
Sadly, the damage, because there are people that just are casually looking, they're not gonna go verify that information one way or the other. Right. They take that and then they go and spread it, and that's why Samantha and I were like,
Yeah, and the other admins that are in that group, the other ones that they call group experts and everything else, they know that this information isn't true, but they sit there and stand by her and will literally in the comments back her up and everything else. I mean, they all get together, they create multiple lies, they're starting new rumors. And this case already had so many damn rumors in it to begin with that it was ridiculous. It's taken us forever and ever to debunk the majority of them, but now they're spinning new narratives and throwing out new rumors and everything else. And so, yeah, now the fight is, we're just going to have to keep fighting, because what happened is we literally stopped for a while just giving them any attention at all, and then we realized when we stopped doing that these lies got bigger and bigger and bigger. The misinformation they started spreading got worse and worse.
It's almost
and worse.
like they want our attention, so they purposely make it worse and worse because they know that's what bothers us. We know, we care about Kyron's case so much, and we work really well together, Samantha, Heidi, and I, as a research team. The three of us can find things that are really great. And in fact, I'm just going to segment really quick. You guys, you will love to follow our next live. I don't know if it'll be the very, very next one or the one after.
Oh, no,
but
it's the next one.
Keep your eyes peeled for that, because Samantha, Heidi, and I have found some really great information since we've been researching after Desiree's most recent.
And
Oh
when is
no,
that
we're not doing the research live next. What we're doing next is we're going to be talking about these Terri supporters and some of the stuff going round and round and round and round, because, you know, we didn't want to make our show about drama. We didn't want to make our show, you know, and focus on somebody, but when they are over there bashing Desiree, not only on the 14th anniversary of Kyron's disappearance, but also on Mother's Day after she puts out her interview with Doug Bishop, the stuff they're doing and saying, the way that they are conniving together has gotten just really bad. And we're just going to call it out, because they're on YouTube, they are doing lives, and they are spreading more and more and more misinformation and rumors, to the point where now all of this work that we have done, you know, and like Callie Dime is saying, they're baiting you. And you know what? They really might be baiting us. I feel that way. Oh my gosh, I have gone over this. We have almost done this live so many times, and we just keep saying, you know what? Nope, we're not going to do it. And you know what? By the end of the weekend, maybe we'll get there again. But what they did on the 14th year anniversary, getting on Desiree Young's personal Facebook, and what they were doing, it's so bad, you guys. It's so bad. And it's like, you know, what is you guys' opinion on that? What would you think of our channel if we did a show to talk about them? You know, I think we've done one video we put out once. I think we did a little bit of a live another time, because this isn't something that we want to turn our, you know, our channel into. But at the same time, the misinformation, the rumors that they're spreading, the way that they're bashing on the mother of a missing child. I know when this happens with the Michael Vaughn case, we all stand up and we say something for Michael Vaughn's family. And that's kind of where I'm at for Kyron and his family right now. And it's just like, when is too much enough? Or when is too much too much?
Right.
When do you start talking about it? When do you start bringing awareness to all of this misinformation? And kind of like what me and Lori were talking about earlier, one of the reasons why she's not currently using her Facebook, that is kind of archived. I mean, you can get on there and leave comments and see it and stuff still, but the little comments on there, the post that you post, only goes so far. When are you going to go out and really reach out to the public and say, hey, listen, these people are doing this, it needs to stop? You know?
Yeah. And
I'm amazed at how many people she has duped.
Right?
Us too. And what's crazy is the newest round of Terri supporters, I'm not trying to be mean, but the majority of them, I wouldn't be like, if I was somebody who just was scrolling and happened to come across one of their posts, I would not take it as well researched, very credible. To me, I'd like read the first couple sentences and be like, what the hell am I reading, and scroll on. But they attract people, and then we have people come to us that they regurgitate what they're saying, and we're like, no, we know exactly where you heard that. It's not true. It's not true.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I don't know what motivates these people to defend her like this. I mean, it's one thing to believe her, but it's something else to spend your time and energy defending her and attacking somebody that's already been victimized by her.
Exactly. And on the day that Kyron disappeared, the anniversary of that day, no less. That is what they do.
That is cruel.
Yes.
I mean, it's unbelievably cruel.
And how they justify it is because they believe Terri is so innocent, that they actually have it twisted so bad in their brain that they think that what Desiree is doing is personal to Terri. That this is that Desiree knows Terri's innocent too. And Desiree is just doing the same thing, being cruel to Terri for no reason. Like, no, you guys, Terri hurt her kid.
Yeah.
Right. Callie, I really do respect your opinion, so thank you for this.
Yes, thank you. And actually,
I asked for a reason, and I just really appreciate you responding to that, because our channel's not a drama channel. You know, there are drama channels. That's what they have their YouTube for. That's not what we wanted our panel to be about. But I'm not going to sit here idly by and watch this mother get attacked. I'm not going to sit here and keep watching these rumors. That's why we wanted to talk about it and debunk all of the rumors that we already have. And now that these are, now more is just being created. So why not just nip them in the bud right now, so they're not floating around for 14 years like the rest that had started when Terri started spinning her narrative right after Kyron disappeared in 2010. Like, she was spinning the narrative about the guy at the 7-Eleven, you know, on the Dr. Phil show in 2017. She was spewing about a chaperone with two girls and Kyron being in their group, or them seeing it the day after Kyron disappeared. Okay. Yeah. She's typing this out in emails that end up getting shared on the news. And this is what she cared about more than putting her feet on the ground to search for Kyron, to share his picture on Facebook, to do anything to help search for Kyron. This is what she wanted to do. So, oh my gosh, it just gets me so worked up, guys. I'm sorry.
Well,
it's just,
it feels good to know that we're not alone, because, you know, as you can tell, we've gone back and forth. We have been close to the edge where we're like, it's time, we're doing this. And then we back off the ledge. I'm like, nope, we're not. But after what we just saw on June 4th, that these people actually have the audacity to call themselves advocates for this woman's missing child, and that's how they treat her. Something has to be said, something has to be done, and this has to go out to the digital footprint forever. Guess what? This is directly to the person. I'm not going to say your name, but I know you're listening. This will always follow you, okay? We're always going to change the title on this, so you can change your YouTube name 50 times if you want. You're never going to run away from this information following you like you have other information you've tried to outrun. We're not going to let that happen anymore.
Yeah. I mean, the profiles, so many fake profiles, and these fake profiles talk to one another. Like
That's creepy.
one person will have
So weird.
multiple Facebook profiles and then
And then
sit there
talk
in
with
their
or carry
group.
on the conversation.
Yes, and
Yes.
sit there and carry on conversations
my
using their own
Lord.
like to create a conversation to convince people of their narrative. It's so awful, you guys.
Yeah.
So awful.
So we'll
But
be talking about
sorry,
all of
yeah.
that. Mhm.
Sorry to take away from this show here, but I wanted everybody to know, like, if you guys are interested at all in seeing it, it will be a little bit of drama, and we're pissed off, but we're gonna air it all out. We're doing it all because we're sick of playing the damn game. And
Oh, I've already been
you know,
dusting off my screenshots. They are getting ready. I've gone far back. I've been dusting them all off. So, oh wow,
I've been so
Yaya's
stressed out.
World. I don't mean to interrupt you, but we just got.
Holy moly!
Yes, thank you so much. What
Oh
a
my
wonderful
gosh!
surprise. Oh, you're
my
so
gosh.
sweet. Congrats on your monetization and keeping Kyron's name out there. Great live, beautiful ladies. Love you. We love having you too. And that means a lot to us. This has been actually something we've been researching a long time. It's been awesome to finally get to talk about it. And that just made my night. I mean, I'm blown away.
That is so awesome. Thank you so much. And of course, we got to play some music for our super members. Yeah, that is amazing. I love you, girlfriend.
That is very sweet.
Deb Brooks, thank you for being here. Have never seen you in here before. It's far easier to remember the truth and all the lies.
I totally agree with you. I appreciate that that comment. There is a what's it called? A phenomenon, I guess. There's actually a name to it, kind of like a Dunning-Kruger effect, where we tend to believe the first information we hear over being corrected later. So if you hear incorrect information first and you hear correct information, you automatically, just human nature, your red flags go up for the real information, and your brain doesn't want to accept it. I don't know why. It's weird. So I feel like that, like, this is a constant game in Kyron's case where it's like, oh my gosh, we finally feel like we've done a really great job of getting and debunking some really crappy old lies, and then we see them being talked about again after we don't talk about them for like a month. Then it's like, oh my gosh, here we go again. It's so hard, but we will never stop. We haven't stopped. I mean, I feel like, Samantha, when was your very first live? I feel like it's been over a year now.
Oh my gosh, it's I don't know. Let me look. I'll look.
Yeah, chat, give us a date, because that's the whole point. I mean, I'm a very shy person, and honestly, doing the lives has helped me with that. It's been really nice actually to get out of my comfort zone a little, but you guys might even have witnessed that. I'm kind of a shy and awkward person, but it was still worth it getting out of my comfort zone with Samantha when she invited me to do this, because the truth matters to me so much.
Yeah, it's been about a year.
I thought so. Right around that time. That's crazy.
I do, Yas. I love you so much. I love everything about you. We've turned into to be some really good friends, and I just appreciate you so much. Thank you for your support. She said, I wanted to do this before I fell asleep, and then she tells me she loves me. You're amazing. Thank you for, thanks everybody for supporting us always. I just, it means a lot to us, because it's something that we really are really passionate about. And we know that Lori is really passionate about it too. She backed off a little bit when her husband got sick. She's slowly but surely starting to come back to the game. We don't know, and she doesn't know if she's going to fully become a part of it. But her husband's health's doing better now. And, we want the truth for Kyron. That's what we're going to do. You know, you
Yeah.
guys know that we like to verify, we like to bring our receipts, we like to talk about information that needs to be talked about and just leave all of the silly crap alone. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I agree. And I will say, just recently in our when I was talking to Samantha and Heidi recently, I saw a comment out in the wild. You know, that's what we say. I found this comment out in the wild on the internet, and it was somebody sharing information that we've shared in our group and in our lives. And I screenshotted it and I asked Heidi, I said, "Is this you?" Because I knew it wasn't Samantha. And I was like, "Is this you?" And Heidi told me no. And when she told me no, I was like, "I am so glad it's not you." Like, it not being you means so much more, because that means it's one of our viewers. It's one of our members on Facebook, and they're
It's
taking
truth
this
going out
information.
there.
Yes, they're taking our information and they're rippling it further, and they're making sure that it's rippling further. And then
Yeah.
those people will go and spread the right information, the real information, the verified information, that one that, yeah. So that meant so much to me. And it might be somebody sitting in our chat right now. That is why having your guys' support and you guys showing up for Kyron, it gives us motivation to keep going too, because all together, this community we have going on, we are really making a difference out there.
Sweet. Yaya's
Yaya says
comments
that
are super sweet.
Oh, I was so glad that Lori, you were able to make it tonight. I mean, honestly,
Oh,
yeah,
having you on
super
was really
excited.
great. Really
it
great.
was my pleasure. It was my pleasure. You guys reach out to me anytime. You know, I only know so much of the story that I can share, but
You definitely have an interesting perspective we appreciate, and we
well,
also appreciate all you've done for Kyron too, because it takes a dedicated person to put themselves out there in the way you have too, you know?
yes, I've put myself in some pretty precarious situations,
Yes.
and
Right.
I really did realize that if she's trying to have Stacy Green killed by a boyfriend, she's trying to also have me killed by a boyfriend. I just
Oh.
don't know who it is, you know.
Yeah, it's crossed
And,
my mind too. I'm just glad she doesn't live in Oregon anymore.
But Lori's got some giant
Yes.
dogs. You do not
Yes.
want to
Don't mess around
with
with Lori, Terry.
yeah. We have those giant dogs, especially, well, for that reason, but especially for Terri. Terry's the biggest threat to my family.
Yeah, I know. I mean, honestly,
You're
when you
welcome.
think about her track record, it's hard not to feel at
Yes,
risk. It's really hard to not feel at risk.
absolutely. And I don't know who she's willing to meet online and perform her sexual whatever for them, and what they're willing to do to have their sexual whatever fantasies fulfilled and stuff like that. You do not know. She is not an honorable person, and she is not going to deal with honorable people. And so that means anybody from the gutter is potentially dangerous to you.
That's such
You
a
know,
good point. True.
and she likes to pretend she's one person, but she's gutter trash.
Yeah, right. And I hope we have demonstrated that pretty clearly tonight. I mean, this is
Yes.
just what we know of. We don't even know the true secret side of Terri, you know, just like Samantha was saying
Could
earlier.
could you guys imagine? There's three sides to every person. When Chris Madonna said this, I was watching a live that he did. He was breaking down things in the Madeline Soto case, and he was talking about Stephen Stearns, and breaking down his mannerism and the clips, the body cam footage, and that actually Heidi had shared with me. I don't know if she shared the Chris Madonna live or if it was something else. Anyway, he was breaking down the camera footage from the police officer, and he just mentioned, every person has three sides to them: the secret person, their real selves, and their social personality. And when he said that, I just like ding, like wow. And everybody has a secret, right? Everybody. But that's exactly what I started thinking about, because he started mentioning the mind of what was in Stephen Stearns during this time when police were talking to him and stuff, and what he was actually thinking in his mind. And it put me, and I just sat there for a second and thought, wow, okay, well, let's just think about what would be inside Terri's mind, her secret side to her that she carries with her everywhere she goes. When she's
I think it'd
socially,
be frightening.
yeah,
Mhm.
when she's socially, on social media and she's talking, like she has this secret side to herself and she has this real self and she has this fake self, so she's sitting here, she's on social media, and then she is bringing her secret life, sometimes out, sometimes hiding it. But it's just really strange if you think, like, to be in her mind and to know exactly what she has actually done, say from just say high school till now. Wow.
Right. I mean, I couldn't say that about my own life. My life is not this eventful.
Yeah,
My life
Yeah,
is
no.
freaking boring compared to Terri Horman's.
yeah.
Sheesh.
I think Terri also kind of thrives on the drama.
Yes, just like Desiree said, she can. I do think, and actually, Dee Dee Spicer, when she gave her interview to the blogger Blink on Crime, she also described Terri as dramatic.
Yeah, yeah. She likes the attention and stuff like that. Even though there's a small part of her that's fears getting caught, she's
Mhm.
also getting
Likes
something
it,
out of
yeah.
all this.
Right. She
It's
exactly.
disturbing. It should be terrifying to her, but she's a very dangerous personality. She just really is.
Yeah.
See,
a
and
lot of
that's what I like hearing from you, Lori. Like, you reminded me today when we talked on the phone for hours, like, you reminded me that Terri is a very dangerous person. I get up here and I talk about Kyron and I talk about his case, and, but when you and I talked, it kind of takes me back out of, what she has done with Kyron and back into the fact that she's a very, very dangerous person still out in our community, you
That's
know,
right. She
stealing
needs
cars, stealing guns, putting knives up to people's throats, doing murder for hires. All of this kind of stuff is very violent things. And like even Desiree Young has said, like, what is going to have to happen? Her actually like hurt somebody. And then when
I
you put
fear
your
that.
spin on it and talk about this Black Widow theory that you feel could happen, I mean, she's
I
dangerous. It's time for her to be behind bars.
I
Yeah.
If
think
not
she's
for this,
extremely.
but for something.
You know what disturbed me when Joseph went for his restraining order, not the temporary one, but for the final one. I was there in the courtroom with him and stuff like that. Is they had different levels of restraining orders, and I can't remember exactly how they went, but I remember he got a moderate restraining order compared to what they could have given him, which was a 5-year restraining order. But they gave him like a 3-year one. And it bothered me because it made me feel like the judge did not take it serious enough how dangerous this woman really is.
Yeah.
And, you know, it really bothered me because here we are in a courtroom again, and Terri is once again not going to face the reality of the chaos and the danger that she's caused and stuff like that. She's getting off easy again.
Mhm.
It's just like that jury, giving her the benefit of the doubt that she
Yeah.
was, going to return the gun and stuff like that. It's amazing how slippery she is.
Yes, right. She really is, and she continues to be. But only a matter of time. I do have faith. We'll see.
It's hard to keep
Whoever
that
did this. Yes, it is hard. It is hard. I have a really good feeling for 2025. I'm really hopeful for Kyron's case. I, Samantha and I, we got to meet Desiree for the first time, and I feel like she also, when I told her, I said, I'm sorry I missed the last one. hopefully there's not one in 2025, but if there is a car wash for Kyron in 2025, you can count on me to be here. And she said the same thing back. She said, we really hope there's not one.
Yep,
You know?
exactly.
So yeah, we'll see. I know, I don't know if you guys have any more to say. I know I have a big day tomorrow, my sister's baby shower. She doesn't know this unless she's listening right now, which I highly, highly doubt. I am going to totally surprise her. She's going to be blown away when she walks up to see the baby shower. It's going to be way different than her expectations. I think she just thinks it's just going to be like, oh, no big deal. But no, this sister made it a big deal. It's her last baby, her first boy, and I'm so excited. So
That's so awesome.
yeah, so I'm
we're
up
getting
early
up-
tomorrow.
Yeah, we're getting up at 6 a.m. in the morning because I've been so stressed out this week. I've had such a busy week on top of everything that we did for Kyron at our event, and then his 14th year anniversary and my 9 hours online and my family coming
Oh
into
my
town.
gosh, right? Yeah, you've just
Me
been
and my
back to back.
hubby, I'm going to Garibaldi tomorrow to go crabbing on the bay all day long to get a
Good.
bunch of crab.
Oh,
So I'm
that'll be awesome.
excited. Thank you, Kalia, for putting everything together for this live. It was absolutely amazing. Thank you, Lori, for coming up and
Thank you for
talking.
having me.
Anytime you want. Thank you, mods, for being here. I appreciate you guys keeping an eye out for the trolls, welcoming everybody in. Thank you, everybody that became a member. Yaya, thank you for that amazing super sticker. We love you, girlfriend. I have a really beautiful tribute video that I kept that I created for his 14th year anniversary. So I'm going to throw that out, and everybody can throw up some frogs and some blue hearts for Kyron. Yeah, ladies, I will see you guys again another night. I love you guys so much. Thank you for coming and being here. And Kalia, always thank you for being my partner. Heidi, you're in the comments still. We love you, girlfriend. Thank you for helping us with all of our research. One of these days you won't be so shy, and maybe you'll come up on
get you
panel
up
too.
here. Yes, you will.
Yeah.
Get you up here.
Thank
All
you
right.
again, ladies, for having me.
Thank
you, Lori,
Have a
for
good
being
weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good
Bye.
night.